And I'm recording, so.
All right.
Are we live?
We're live, and then Maddie will log in.
Oh.
Are we on YouTube? Let us know. Hello. Chewy, speaking of that, make sure you
Hello.
sound great.
Do I sound great?
You sound really, really good.
Awesome.
What about me?
You sound amazing as well.
Somebody
So,
told me I should be a country singer.
Our secret guest today is Chad.
I don't think he's secret. I mean, he's a repeat guest.
Yeah. Well, I didn't have
Hey, I've
Chad.
only been on here once.
Well, but like, we've only done it on live on the YouTube like 3 times. This is being the 3rd, so you've been here like, 2 out of 3 times.
So, we're going? Yeah. Chewy, so I wanted to start actually. Tell us about Costa Rica. You just got back.
Costa Rica was awesome. So Justin, one of the brown belts in the gym, he puts on this Costa Rica trip every year. This is the 4th year he's done it. I've done it. This was the 3rd time I've done it, and it's a blast. And even cooler was that a few people that watched the videos from the channel, they decided to take the call for a little adventure. They jumped out with us, and Steve, Angie, and Steve, Angie, and why am I drawing a blank? Jake. I don't know why that was so hard. And they came out along with Sean and everybody else, and we did a bunch of cool stuff. It was awesome. It's a fantastic trip every year. So we do it every year in January, late January, and it's a blast.
How did you all get the name or the Steve?
Steve, I don't know.
How did that happen?
I'm stupid.
I'm
just so stupid. I'm just stupid. Like, you know that thing where people, like, when you become an adult and like you have these impulses to do things, and then like as you become an adult, like you stop doing those things.
Yeah.
I'd never stopped doing those things. So like one day we were sitting there messing around with Steve, and Steve was just messing around with his phone, and I looked at him, and I was filming a technique with Kenny, and I was just like, and there's Steve, and then just mess with him.
Who is the British guy?
That's Steve. Yeah, Steve's a British guy. So Steve's a British guy. Angie and Jake were coming from Seattle.
Seattle.
Mm.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
They must have. Is that a long trip for them?
It's pretty long. Steve had the worst. Like, Steve had a long trip, man. Like, he had to go across, the ocean and then come down. I mean, it was a long trip. But Angie and them had a pretty long trip, too, because, they're across the U.S. So
what were some of the highlights, you think, of the trip?
Let's see.
Obviously, you all train twice a day, no gi in the mornings, gi at night. Is that correct?
Yeah, and then, the activities, like, I've never been snorkeling before. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. And then, I don't know, man. It's a good vibe. Like, every year's a little different, and it has its own little sort of things stand out for other reasons. I mean, this one, what was neat about this one was like there were a lot of people training in there. Like there was a guy named Ramon and his brother Oscar and like Daniel that runs the jiu-jitsu program down there at the Jungle's Edge. And so like we had a bunch of like local people training there. And then, like the last night, dude, it was nuts. Like Sean and like all of us are packed onto this little golf cart. And it's funny. Like it's so weird how jiu-jitsu. And I was talking about this, how it transcends so many things, right? So we're driving in a golf cart in Costa Rica, and we run into this guy with a Gracie shirt on. And so Sean pulls on over, and he says, "Hey man, what's up?" So we start talking to the guy, and he's down there, on vacation or whatever for a wedding. And so you're like, "Hey man," he's a black belt. Mm-hmm. So like, "Hey, we're training tonight, whatever, and we'll get you a gi." And then when we're sitting at a restaurant later on that afternoon, after we were kind of just done doing a few things, lo and behold, there's this father who happens to have a son who's a purple belt. And so we're like, yeah, man, we're having this big training session. So that night, man, we had like 45 plus people on there. Emily Kwok was there. She was just randomly in town too, doing some stuff with her, I guess, a business partner. And then you had all these other people that we had just sort of met along the way, plus all the local people that train jiu-jitsu there, plus our retreat group. And it was just a cool experience. And I thought what was neat about it, I said this to everyone at the end of the night, I was like, half the people there I can't actually communicate to language-wise. Like there's a language barrier. They don't speak English, I don't speak Spanish. But yet we can come in, we can train together, I can help them, and they can understand what I'm helping them do, and it's a really cool atmosphere. And that's a cool thing. I remember when I went to Spain years ago, there was another cool thing like where I became buddies with these guys, and we really couldn't communicate that well. But while we were in the gym training, we were close, man. There's certain things, like cues that you pick up on from people that don't require language. Mm-hmm. And then you have this thing, jiu-jitsu, that transcends. It's a language of the body. It's not a language of a verbal language. So you can communicate with these people through these techniques and things like that.
So is like Costa Rica kind of like a hotbed, so to speak, for like jiu-jitsu? Like it seems like a lot of these jiu-jitsu training vacation things are done down there. Like I've seen numerous.
I don't
ones.
know. You know, I think it's just a hotbed of stuff because it's a cool place, right? It's a developing place. It's growing fast, and it's I think it's just one of those places where people are going there to do different things, not just surf retreats or jiu-jitsu retreats, but just a lot of different stuff. And I think that it's a cool place to be, and a lot of people are moving in there. And there's also a large community of like English-speaking people there, so it's kind of like you can not speak Spanish, and you can like in a lot of those places you can get by pretty easily. And there's a lot of expats there that have moved down there to start different lives and stuff.
Yeah, how's the is it fairly cheap to live down there? Is that? It's not.
No, I mean like I guess at some point it was, and maybe like if you're off like where we're at in Nosara, like. I mean, you could probably get like a small condo for a reasonable price, but like when you're looking at like some nice houses and stuff like that, man, like you're paying like for especially compared to like Louisville prices. Like Louisville's a cheap city.
Well, sure.
Like it's more expensive. If I was gonna buy a house like down the street here, like a nice house, it'd be more expensive down there. Unless I was gonna buy like some condo. Now it depends on where you're going. I'm sure there's some spots in Costa Rica because like I'm on there like on the beach and the coastline. I'm sure there's some spots in Costa Rica that are relatively cheap, probably inland or something like that. But where we were at, it was not.
So that was kind of an awesome way to start the new year.
Yeah, it was fun.
Chad, what about you?
What's up?
How was your how's this year been so far for you? I know we're like into February, like mid-February or early February. February. But like how's it been? Like has anything changed so far in this year?
It's been pretty well for me. I hurt my knee at the beginning of the year, so I've been rehabbing that. You've been helping me with yeah, doing the Peter Griffin.
Yeah.
I mean, besides hurting my knee, I've been good. My knee's starting to feel better, so I'm looking to compete.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to Florida to compete at one of the Fujis. I'm going to do that next month. And I was going to do the Pan Ams, but I just found out that you have to have 20 points. And I was going to do the Cincinnati Open or the Atlanta, but I hurt my knee, so I wasn't able to get the points to do the Pans. But
so as a black belt, you have to have 20 points now?
Yeah, I guess they changed the rules now to where you have to have 20 points to be able to do any of the Grand Slam tournaments. So like Worlds, Pans, Europeans, you have to have 20 points.
Is that for any belt level or just?
No, that's just for black belt now.
Really?
Yeah, I just found it out the other day. I was looking at Full Grappling, they posted it. And I already bought my girlfriend got us tickets to go to the Pans, and I was getting ready to register for it and everything, and I was like, well, there goes that idea.
Now you're just having a vacation.
Yeah, now I'm just having a vacation.
That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. Are they trying to just keep the numbers down, level competition?
No, it's not a numbers thing. I mean, if you wanted to keep the numbers down, you'd like put a barrier on the blue belts and white belts and stuff like that, right? Like, I think more what it is, it's trying to maybe. My thinking is maybe prestige on it a little bit. Like you gotta you have to be like good, like for that black belt level. Like you can't just be some random guy that's like, oh yeah, like think about it this way. Like I remember like what was it that one year that like there was at the Pans and they had the guy that Andre Gabal rolled with who was like, it's like so you're not gonna get any of those guys. You're gonna have to get guys that are actually pretty darn good. And so I'm sure that'll make the competition better.
So what's like if you I guess every tournament, every IBJJF has a certain amount of point value.
Yeah.
So like if you get, do you know like if you get like first place like 5 points?
I think it depends on the tournament.
Right.
Like it was so funny like a couple years ago when they first started tracking the points. I don't know how it happened, but I ended up in 13th in the world.
That's
like
awesome.
for at my weight class, I was like this system.
Frame that.
Yeah, this system's a little fucked up if I'm 13th in the world at my weight class.
Perfect.
Because there were like some really amazing dudes that were like hadn't competed in like that year when they were counting the points.
Yeah.
So at one point in my life, I was number one.
Yeah, right.
That's awesome.
It was a blue belt year.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you really were.
Whatever. Yeah.
You won Pans.
Double gold at Pans, and then I golded at Worlds, and I came in second in the absolute.
Chad peaked early.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. So like, as far as like getting the New Year's, so have you guys seen like initially, I think, and I've noticed a big jump in like new faces at the gym.
Honestly, no, not really.
Yeah, I
See,
swear, like, I feel like the mats
no,
are
no,
more
no.
crowded.
Well, they are more crowded because people aren't being lazy bastards and making excuses about the holidays.
I never see people.
No.
I don't pay attention to
No,
people.
no, because I know, like, so I mean, obviously January we do have more people coming in. But see, the thing is, our months we have bigger months later on in this year. January is always pretty good.
Yeah.
But like we'll have like bigger months later on. Typically, what happens is people go to like Planet Fitness on January and then stop working, and then they go to like February. They go to to us.
So-
but we just have everybody coming back from all the different places because everybody's like, oh well, why aren't you training? Oh, it's the holidays. Like, why aren't you in the gym? Oh, it's the holidays, right? So they make excuses for like 2 months, and then they finally get back in. So we're just having everybody back in the gym plus new people.
Yeah.
So, like, what do you think is, from your all's aspect as gym owners and coaches, like for retention, and what do you think is important for retention, like to stay with it for new people?
Well, okay, so you're asking a question.
Two questions.
Your two questions. So you're asking one, as us as gym owners about retention, and then are we asking, which one are we asking?
So let's ask. So what do you guys like to do? Like if you have new people come in, or like big crowds of people, or people that you haven't seen in a while, is there something you do to keep them coming back? Is there some way you like to?
Well, there's
entice them,
there's
or-
different methods of communication that are used all the time through email, through Facebook groups, through everything else, texts. Joe sends out texts sometimes. There's a bunch of that kind of stuff. And then also when they come in, man, like I can call almost everybody in this gym by name. You know what I mean? So like when they come in, like hey, what's up? Name Eugene, right? So we start talking to them, just sort of touch base with them. I mean, I don't know, man. Like we don't have to try that hard on retention because we give a shit. You know what I mean? So when people come in there, I'm genuinely glad to see them that they're back. And so you talk to them, what's going on, man? What's been wrong? Whatever. Catch base with them or touch base with them and catch up, and then get them plugged in. Like, hey, what are we working on? What class you going to? That kind of thing. I mean, because most of the time in this gym, whenever someone comes in, they start to enjoy it. They get sucked into it.
Right.
I've never had someone go in there and get like trained here for a little bit and be like, yeah, that place sucked.
Yeah.
Anyone that I would value their opinion anyway.
Yeah. What about like new people coming in, like seeing all these people on the mats? Like if you're never done jiu-jitsu, like how do you not get overstimulated, overwhelmed?
Here's the thing that a lot of new people do when they go into a big room, like especially training. You see it a lot. It's even way more in boxing, because what happens is when someone comes in, they look around at everybody, and everybody looks like they know what they're doing to some degree. You know what I mean? So the person comes in, they're feeling super hyper, like anxious, super self-aware, right? Because they're like, I don't know anything. They're nervous, and then they look around the mats and they're like, God, everybody looks like they know what they're doing.
Right.
But then in reality, there's like 20 guys on the mat that have no clue what they're doing, right? Like you'll have a beginner class, and it's like they kind of look like they're flopping around in some like way that makes sense, but really they're not doing the moves correctly at all. So we're having to slow them down a little bit. We're having to correct everything else in. But to the eye, when they come in, they're like, oh man,
Right.
these guys know what they're doing. So I mean, they just have to come in and just jump in.
Do you like to put people, with someone their same skill level, or you like to put them with somebody like a new person?
If it's a new person, goes over to our beginner class, and even some of these classes like tonight, like even a lot of the guys take it upon themselves, right? But if we go to the beginner class, a lot of times we'll try to pair them up with upper belt, so this way they kind of get like it's a little bit easier, and the person can sort of like, hey, I've been there before, it's cool, man, let me guide you through this.
We got a guy like that tonight.
Which way?
He came up to me during class. He's like, man, all these people. He's like, because everybody was starting to roll and stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't even know how to turn my hips yet.
Right.
I was like, well, if you, I pointed out someone else. I was like, well, look at this guy. He's only been here a week. You can kind of tell the difference between him and one of the upper belts. I was like, just give it a few months, man.
Yeah.
I was like, that's all you could do is just keep training, push past that first part.
And that's the only thing you can do. You can't be you can't be focused on the outcome.
Yeah.
You just have to simply be like, I'm here, right? That's what it's about, right? It's not about like who gives a shit where you end up being, right, or who you become at the end. Like that's stuff for later on. In the beginning, it's just about just be here, just do it.
Right. I had fun. I don't know. For me, well, I mean, granted, I started when I was a kid, but the reason I kept coming was just I had so much fun, just like rolling, and I was always trying to beat somebody.
Yeah.
But I don't know. For me, I would set goals for myself to get to a certain point.
Right.
I remember back in the day. I'm trying to think. Chris Corson. I remember he used to beat the shit out of me every day.
The in-house tournament.
Yeah, in the in-house tournament. We did an in-house tournament. I think I was probably like 13, and he straight ankled me.
Yeah.
So I went around. I asked all the black belts. I was like, how do I escape this? How do I do this? So the next time he put me in a straight ankle, I was like, I'm not getting caught in that shit.
Yeah. And I mean that's right. Like you use the external goals to fuel your progression, but it's like, but then later on at the same time, you look back and realize like that wasn't the most important thing at all.
What about expectations though? Like, what if you set those goals, you're not meeting them?
But see, here's the thing: you set expectations and you chase after them. You do your best to chase after them, but you can't become like too like clingy about them. Like again, if you get them, you get them. If you don't, you don't. Like for instance, like when I go to a tournament, right? I will try my damnedest to train hard, to prepare, to eat well, and to try to win. Right? I'll do everything I can to win. and try to take first.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen every time. But it doesn't mean that just because I didn't take first place at that tournament that it was failed, right? I may have learned a lot of stuff along the way. I may have trained really hard and made some other people better along the way. I might have had some really good lessons to take away from the tournament, Like, it doesn't mean it's failed, it just means that it just didn't happen at that time, but that's part of the whole process, right? Like when you go into the gym some days, like you might feel like, man, I got it, I'm feeling great, and then you go in the gym and then you get chewed up by everybody else.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it was a failed training experience, right? Just because you didn't hit your expectation for that day doesn't mean it was failed. You can't become too like it has to be that way, because it's not gonna be. So you shoot for that, but if you fall short of it, sometimes it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, just being able to, I guess, figure out, if you don't reach, just keep going. I guess, I don't know.
I mean, there is no other way. I mean, what else are you gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't win this tournament, or I didn't submit this one person. So what are you gonna quit now, right? Like, no, you just say, listen, I maybe fell short of my goal. Take the lessons learned from it, and then get back up and do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's such a good thing. And wrestling's the same way. Any one-on-one sport where basically all the burden it goes on you, so you have to figure that shit out.
Right.
And that translates over to other stuff. Like you right now, man, you're getting ready to like go into this new career phase of yourself, right? Stepping out there and like I guarantee you probably have an expectation of where you're shooting for.
For sure.
If you don't hit that expectation exactly the way that you want to, it doesn't mean it's failed. It just means that, hey, we got to maybe tweak some things. Maybe we got to work on some things. Maybe I got to adjust a few other things, right?
Yeah. So like that kind of leads me to the next point. So like, I'm trying to do new things, as far as careers go and trying new things out. How did, we talked to you about the tough decision about choosing to become a gym owner, choosing to have jiu-jitsu be kind of your main income or your main part of your life. So I want to know, like, Chad, for you as well, like obviously you made the decision, but what was the turning point? We kind of touched on this. What's the turning point that said, I have to do this? I can't, what was it that made you go to jiu-jitsu as your career and not turn back?
Who do you want to go with first?
Go with you.
All right, so I feel like it happens. Like, life throws things at you, right? Life fucking throws you balls, and you can either choose to swing or you can let them, like, you can just watch them go, right? If you watch them go, then you go back and go, man, what if, right? Or you can just take a swing, and if you fucking strike out or you knock it out of the park, whatever, at least you took a swing.
Right. So
with me, I was in a job, office job, working in a cubicle, doing some IT work, making pretty good money, right? And, let's go back a little bit. One guy asked one time, and this might be a little long rant, so for the guys watching the channel, you guys might like this, but you guys might be like, shut the fuck up. But
I'm gonna need more beer.
Well, yeah, you might need to go get more beer, right? But one of the guys on the channel asked me, like, what one of the biggest obstacles I had with training, right, or with jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
And one of the things I said was like a sort of materialism that was pressed upon me by someone else. So there was this point where I had this girlfriend that I was dating, right, and I went out, and so I felt like I was getting older. I was like 22 at the time, right? I know it's not old at all, but I was like, felt like I was old. Been dating this girl for a couple years, and like teaching jiu-jitsu full time wasn't a thing for anyone, not around here.
Yeah.
Like running a business, that wasn't a thing, right? Like no one did it. So I was like, I guess I better got my job, I'm making some money, and all right, so I'm gonna buy a house, a car. We got a puppy in the backyard, and I'm working 60 hours a week so that she can go to school, and I'm like putting the burden on my back, right?
Right.
And and got myself dug into some debt, and then I remember finding out that she was seeing someone else. And so that it split, and there was this point where I'm sitting around. I remember when she was leaving, and all the furniture was hers, right? So I've got this fucking house that I'm paying for, and it's empty. And it's about how I felt, right? I'm empty because I was like, I bought this house, I bought this car, I got all this stuff that I'm paying for that I don't even want, and now I'm like sitting here empty-handed, like what the hell do I do with all this stuff? And so I remember being sick to my stomach, and I started working to process to get rid of it all, right? And sell the house, get all that other stuff off, right? Which I did. Now, that was like part one, right? I was like, okay, I don't want to do this. I was like, I just want to do jiu-jitsu, right? So I've got to get back on my path. And then I remember like the second sort of like where life was like calling. It was like, hey man, here it is, dude. Do you want it? One day it was after a seminar. Hanato did a seminar. We went out to a party afterward for our buddy David Riley's birthday, I think it was his 30th birthday. And we're all just like hanging out. It was a great time. And then afterwards I'm driving home. It's about 2, 3 in the morning, right? And I remember just being like, God, that was awesome. That was like the perfect day, right? Jiu-jitsu, hanging out with your buddies. We had a little cookout here, the best day, right? And then I'm like, fuck, I've got to get up to work in like 3 hours or something. I'm like, oh my God. And then it was just like, boom, life said, hey, dude, like, let's do something else. So I pulled over into a Walgreens parking lot. I'll never forget it. On Bardstown Road. If you ever go down there, that was the one. I pulled over and sat in there. I pulled up my flip phone that, it had the little calculator. I added up all my expenses. And, they were just at that point, because I got rid of the house and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Just all my baseline expenses were just shy of $1,000. Right?
So nice.
Just shy. I mean, dude, like I never got myself dug into too much debt, but again, like at the time, I didn't have anything though, bro. I was in a small little apartment at this point. I had my car and stuff like that, but I didn't have anything, right? Like I was living a Spartan lifestyle because it's like, this is what I want to do. I don't give a shit about my status and what people think about me or how cool my shit is. I'm like, I want to do jiu-jitsu. So then pulled over, called my buddy up. I was like, hey, like the guy that owned the gym at the time. I said, hey, can I get $1,000 a month? And he was like, we can set it up for June, right? And I was like, I don't know where the rest of the money's going to come for other expenses, but I was like, at least that'll cover my baseline expenses, so I can get that done. So at that point, started planning up for June. Just fucking took the leap, and I was scared shitless, And then at the time, I mean, I've talked about this before. My mother was sick; she had cancer, and like everybody's telling me it's a terrible idea, bad idea. You're going to be broke, right? I'm voluntarily signing up to say, hey, I'm going to be broke and I want to do this, right? But I'll never forget though. The Sunday that I took off, because I used to work on Sundays, the Sunday that I had off, my very first Sunday where I was, off away from that stuff, I remember coming in here during an open mat training session and rolling with everybody, and I just felt free, man. It was like the sun was shining. I remember just like being outside, just like I feel amazing, And then I remembered the fact that I was broke and then felt sick to my stomach again. But, there you go. So.
That's awesome. I think that's just, like for me, Chad, go ahead. I'll say for me, I'll be quick. For me, like
you ain't gonna be quick.
Jiu-jitsu is so important, but also like when you have a family, like it doesn't complicate things, but
it sure does.
It makes
you're not making a decision for yourself. You're making a decision for a whole group of people.
So like
and you're the man.
When you're taking a risk, well, dude.
I understand. I understand. But regardless of who's making money, at the same time, you're a man and you're a good man, good father to your children, good husband, and so you feel like there's pressure to provide. You don't want to be some deadbeat that's like, mama's making the bacon, I'm gonna go fuck around and do this.
Yeah.
You want to bring home. You want to be able to help.
Just kind of, it's hard because sometimes you wish you did it sooner. Sometimes you wish you made those decisions. Like I'm doing what I love and like, helping people stay healthy.
Yeah.
And I want to kind of make that my own thing and my own kind of way of doing it and help people in my own way. So that's kind of like, I think I was fortunate to make a decision about a career path, being a physical therapist that I really am loving and passionate about, but like kind of doing things in your own way is so important and kind of doing things on your terms.
For some people.
Yeah.
Right? And I think for you it is. And I think that, you could have done it sooner, right? Okay, well, you could have, but you didn't.
Right.
So now you can do it now. Right?
Yeah,
you can either take the swing now and be like, let's see what happens. I mean, I don't know, dude. Life has a way of putting things together for you. Like,
sure.
I mean, when you really think about like what's the worst possible thing that can happen, right? You go get another job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, so if you take a crack at it and it doesn't work, well then you say, well, we have to tighten up our budget a little bit for a little. We can't spend as much because we all got bullshit shit we spend on, right?
Yeah.
And then you say, well, get another job because you've got a skill, man. You've got a really good skill that you can go get another job.
Yeah.
It's not like you're friggin' like you got this like you got to this one place that's the only place you can ever. You got a skill.
No,
man.
I just like and I was fortunate, like seeing my wife do what she does, and she's very she's
good at her job.
She's good at her job, and she works for herself, and like that's so cool to see. It's so just being able to do what you love.
Well, there's autonomy to it, and you can do it the way that you'd like instead of being like locked into like well, Eugene, you must treat the patient like this because this is the protocol.
But that's kind of that's the way it is. That's like you almost like put the peg in the hole. It's kind of how it works.
No, and it's good for quality control,
Sure.
so you make sure that because like maybe you have a really passionate physical therapist like yourself where things can be done better, but maybe you have a not so passionate physical therapist who could really screw it up.
Yeah.
Where you just make sure that you at least
keep
sort of
everybody in line.
Yeah, keep some middle ground, right?
Yeah. Chad, what about you, man? So Chewy, how old were you when you kind of started teaching full time?
2010. So I was at the ripe age, 25.
25. And Chad, you just turned 22.
I just turned 23.
23.
Getting old.
But see, the thing,
Shut the fuck up,
the
man.
difference is, with you, like the difference is a few things. You had a mentor and like Chewy and a lot of other guys at the gym, and you also kind of grew up at the gym. I don't think you started jiu-jitsu like what, 18, 17?
It's,
And,
18,
and Chad, you started at.
I started when I was 11.
I mean,
Yeah,
shit, dude, you're
just-
23 and you're a black belt. You've been a black belt for like a year, over a year.
Yeah, about a year and a few months.
Yeah, I mean, shit, that's crazy. Like, I didn't start jiu-jitsu until I was 25. So what was like the decision? I know you were working. I remember you telling us the story of like you working like crazy hours and you like ate real shitty and then you came in and you got
Still do
sick
that.
or something.
Still
and
eat shit.
they had that in-house tournament or we had like a tournament that we held at the gym and you had a really big match and with against a really tough guy and you ended up winning and it was a huge one. I remember we were all here. We were all just losing our
Crazy.
minds. Like, do you feel like that was the turning point for you?
I know what the turning point was.
What do you think?
What is it?
Oh, I know. Cool.
You tell us.
You go ahead, and then I'll throw it out there because I have an idea too.
Yeah. I don't know. I started my jiu-jitsu career when I was 11, and when I first started, I competed my first month of jiu-jitsu. I ended up winning 9 tournaments in a row. It's just,
In your first month?
My first, I won my first tournament my first month. I beat 3 people, armbarred them all. And then I went to another tournament, and then another tournament, and then another tournament. I won 9 of them in a row my first, like, few months of doing jiu-jitsu. So
That's crazy.
I was instantly went from being, like, I got bullied, and I had problems with my dad at the time.
Sure.
And we were going through some stuff. So it made me feel like a winner. It took me out of the spot of just feeling like a loser, like some skinny, tall kid to, I'm a champion.
Yeah.
And I have my kids do like I call them champion push-ups all the time. They say I'm a champion every time, just to remind them.
Yeah.
But anyways, as I was growing up, I was competing and I was used to just winning all the time. I put a lot of work into my jiu-jitsu and stuff. And then for some reason, I wanted to get a job because I grew up in a poor family, so I was eating. It's probably where my bad eating habits came in. But I would eat the Taco Bell $2 meal all the time, and ramen noodles, stuff like that. Stuff that's just gonna get me by. Pizza rolls, all that stuff, just because
So good.
that's
See,
it.
I
That's
give
all.
shit about that all the time, but the only reason I give him shit is because I used to eat the same shit.
Oh my God.
I used to
Yeah.
eat the same crap all the time. I was like, oh, I'm eating like this cheeseburger before training.
Dude,
and stuff.
I'm gonna my wife. I'm gonna call her out. When we first met, she was like for like dinner one night. I was over at her house. She was eating Bud Light or drinking Bud Light and eating goldfish.
God, that's classy,
I was like,
man.
what the hell? This is all you're eating tonight?
And then she like started like leaning out for
No,
like bodybuilding
now
competitions.
she's
like
like
jacked.
insane.
Yeah.
It's like she won't. She's not insane. But she's like so strict on like like she's so aware of diet and like proper eating habits.
It's something
crazy.
you grow into. I think it's almost like,
Yeah.
and you'll start to eventually like you start to grow into. It's almost like becoming like a. You just like a black belt, or white belt, black belt, and so on, right? At different levels, right? You become like, you think you're eating healthy, and then you become
Right.
more aware about certain
Yeah,
things,
like
and all of a
that.
sudden you're like, oh, no, let's up it up a notch.
Like
you know what
I hear her say all the time, like she'll, I guess Weight Watch or some shit. I don't know. I've changed up there. She's like, that's bullshit. That's not true. She's always like, and it's funny because like it kind of started like she started doing she did the like bodybuilding stuff or whatever, and then like she learned more and more and more, and it's like just builds upon itself. But
So,
yeah, it's crazy.
so you were saying you got the job because you were poor and stuff there.
Yeah, I was poor, and I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna kind of call him out a little bit, but at the time we had a gym owner, and he was trying to make me do all this stuff. And if anybody knows me, I don't like being told what to do, just because, my past with my dad, me and him were butting heads all the time. So if someone tells me what to do, I'm like, fuck you, dude. And that's kind of another reason that I quit my job. Just I don't want to sound like cocky or anything, but I knew that I could do the job that they assigned me to better than anybody, and they kind of kept passing me up and stuff. So I was like, man, it's like in jiu-jitsu, you can prove that you're the best. It's like, and that's what I was always used to doing. So in jiu-jitsu, you put your money where your mouth is. If you say you're gonna submit somebody, you go out there and submit them. Like with work, somebody could pass you up just because.
So what was the turning point for you?
You know, I went to a few tournaments, and there were some people that, you know, back in my day when I was training all the time, when I was like 16 to 18, I was submitting black belts all the time at a blue belt level, just because I was training so much. I'd already put in so much work, and I saw my work just kind of declining, you know. So
Like your level of jiu-jitsu.
yeah, my level of jiu-jitsu is just going down because I would work from, you know, 9 at night till 12 the next day, and I felt bad because at the time I was a assistant head instructor under Chewy and stuff, and you know, I couldn't give you all my full potential that I had been given at the beginning. You know, I was giving people tough roles, and if you're a tough person that brings up the atmosphere of the gym, it's like, you know, you don't want to lose to me every time, so you're gonna come after me just as hard as I come after you. But if you got a bunch of people just going light that, you know, take it as a hobby, it's like nobody's ever gonna get better.
Right.
You got that one serious dude in there. You're like, I want to get to that guy's level.
Right.
You know?
Iron sharpens iron. Sharpens iron.
Yeah.
I mean, really.
But I don't know. I just I kind of got tired. I wanted to be able to give people more. You know, I felt like I had more to offer in jiu-jitsu than what I was doing.
How do you feel like, you know, since you've done that, like, how do you feel, like, do you feel like you're where you want to be, or what are your goals?
I mean, I'm not there yet. You know, I just started my YouTube channel.
No liabilities.
Like, yeah, no liabilities. Probably, what was it, 9 months ago? Something like that, somewhere around that. I would say 9 months is where I actually got, because when you first start out, you suck at everything. So I was watching my first video. I was like,
Yeah,
man, these are terrible.
it's fun. And
You watch it now. I'm like, well, it's not the best, but it's still pretty good.
Well,
Better than what it was.
Well, I think Chewy and I talk about it too. Like, he, you know, watching his first videos was hilarious too.
Yeah.
So stuff that he's never released, which I still think you should release. I think it'd be
that's
amazing.
bad, yeah.
Chewy wearing like a button-down shirt. And,
Well, that was for the gym onboarding
That was awesome.
videos, and it's like
please
it's,
release that. All you
it's-
people on Chewy's channel, ask him to release those videos. At least like a minute. It's hilarious.
It's you know, there really is something like, you know, I was talking to, we had a guy come in today who watched the channel. His name was Reed, and he was like, man, it's surreal, you know, like hanging out here and like being able to meet Chewy and train with the guys and stuff like that. And it was funny because Flavor was like, yeah, he's like, basically all he did was just, he's always rambling about something, and then he just like started rambling in front of the camera.
Right.
And then all it is basically being able to be comfortable there and do that, you know. And going to you, man, like it was, I don't know if maybe if it even sticks out in your memory. I remember we had a conversation following the Nogi Pans of 2016.
Yeah.
And we went up to we went up to Kroger, right? And I just remember it, and so the reason, like the only reason I look at you and stuff is because we were both poor kids.
Yeah.
As soon as we got our jobs, what did we do? We were like, I got money. Like, what am I going to do with my money? I'm going to buy stuff. Because you're like, I got money and stuff,
You
right?
never had stuff.
Yeah, we never had stuff, right? I didn't grow up. I could take all my toys and put them in a bucket and slept in a reclining chair because I didn't have a bed. So now I got stuff, right? And then I remember like watching you. It was so shitty, man, because I know like there's so much potential in you. And I was like, oh, he's going down the same shit I did, right? And then you watch it decline, and then you watch like you're not rolling as much as you're as well as you used to.
Yeah.
I was watching your demeanor when you would teach people, and you're tired and you're just lethargic. And then like the last draw was like when you compete against guys that I was like, man, I know he can beat these dudes. Yeah. But it's like you're not training like you need to be training for this, especially at the adult black belt level. It's different if like blue belt and stuff you can get away with it as a hobby, but if you're talking about the adult black belt level, those freaking guys they're training hard, and you weren't able to. And so, you know, him and I, we had a conversation out at, we went, like Kroger just opened up. They had like, you know, like this like little place. We just went and got some food there. And, you know, I was like, dude, just stop. Like, I don't know. I told him, it's like, it's not going to be easy. You're going to be broke a little bit, and we'll have to work progressively towards more. But it's a hell of a lot better doing something and being, like, it's a whole lot better than being broke than being a friggin' slave just for $1 when you're missing out on something you really want to do. You know, and the only reason I saw that was because, like, I've been down that road before.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, money-wise, you know, that it's difficult, but, like, what the experience, like, the feat, like I tell people all the time, people don't really understand jiu-jitsu until you've trained really hard with people that you care about and then you enjoy their company, and, like, the feeling that you get after, like, a really, really tough, like, today's a freaking Tuesday, you know, like, people don't feel these things like this, like a feeling of maybe accomplishment or a feeling of just camaraderie, like on a Tuesday night.
No.
You know, we get that.
Oh,
like,
no, I know it.
As
I know
much,
it.
it's like it's like, hey, like this is like
yeah.
the secret ingredient to like feeling, if you have a tough day at work or not enough sleep or whatever at home, and you come in here and you have a good training session, like it can change everything.
Yeah.
Like nobody like on a Saturday morning, you have a tough training session, you get out, like 12:30, 1 o'clock,
Just floating the rest of the
and
day.
it's like, wow, like I've like done something today that's been really that you feel good about. You feel like you accomplished something.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for jiu-jitsu, I'd probably go to work and then play my game the rest of the
Yeah,
day.
You'd be like
Yeah.
you'd be like a person that's just like, I feel like some people just go about their life on autopilot.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, there's no like fire or passion in them about anything. You're just like, all right, well, I'll go to work, I get done from work, I go home and drink some beer and like play video games, and then I go to sleep, wake up, do this, and then you just rinse, repeat.
It's super easy to get in that habit. Like, I don't know, when you're a kid, you kind of see things, and it doesn't make sense until you get to that point, and you're like, it's like, fuck, I'm that dude now.
Yeah.
It's like, damn it.
But it's good you went through that. It's good that you worked and did the shitty shit. So so you can relate to people, and they're like, I'm tired from work.
I'm an
I know what that feels
overthinker
like.
too. Like, I overthink every little thing. So it's weird. I remember seeing a dude at the gym kind of do something like that, and then I was like, man, I'm never gonna be like that. And then one day I was fucking doing the same shit, and I was up all night about it. I was just beating myself up.
So
and I was
what
like,
you did, right?
I was like, well, I'm gonna change myself now. I was like,
become that guy.
You unplugged from the Matrix.
nah.
Ain't no unplugging from the
Yeah.
Matrix, dog.
There is.
We're all plugged in.
No,
We're plugged
dude.
in just a different.
It's super
We're in a
hard.
different socket or something, man.
I
Like
know,
we're like we're still connected.
Don't you ever wonder, like, honestly, you ever wonder, like, if we're in the freaking Matrix? Like, literally, like, holy shit, am I just, like,
I don't know. I think
just
it's
a piece of this, like,
Well,
machine?
wait a second. Even if there is no Matrix, you're still a blip in the greater universe, right? I mean,
Yeah,
like
for sure.
I mean, like it's like you're not important. I'm not important, right? Like none of this shit's really that important. It
We're
just
pretty important right now in this
no,
moment in time. We're
no.
important.
Well, we're important to ourselves, right? And within our groups of people, we're important. But I mean,
Yeah.
just a grand scheme.
yeah,
of
there's
things,
some
man,
dude
like,
out there who doesn't even know who the hell you are.
Like, dude, when you just think about like how many people have come and gone, we don't know about them.
Sure.
From the earth back to the earth. We're just here for a short time.
I know.
Right?
Gotta make it count, baby.
That's right. That's right. You get a little run in this flesh bag, and then you got to give it back.
Flashback. That is.
And then you got to give it back.
Oh my god! But man, isn't it nice though to do what you love for a short period of time?
It is, but the thing is
Spend it with people you like.
but there's a difference though. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
Like, because people think, oh man, teaching jiu-jitsu for a living must be so awesome. Like, I do a lot of shit that I don't want to do.
a grind.
That has nothing to do with jiu-jitsu, right? Like, there's a lot of stuff I've got to do. And I know Chad's saying, well, you got to do a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily want to do, but you do it because you like the greater thing that comes from it. And so there's always going to be work involved. But yeah, it's fun to have a chance to do something you enjoy doing. But but I'll say it this way. You don't, like, when people have a job that they go to, they can just like clock in, clock out. When you leave and that job's back there, that doesn't happen when you run a gym. Job's always with you. You get that butt puckery moment when something bad happens and it's all on you now, right? It's not like you can go, well, my boss, it's his problem. Like, no, it ain't your boss's problem. You are the boss, your problem. So like when you have people that are relying on you to make something work, like, oh, I've got 200 students in here that rely on me to make sure this place keeps running.
Yeah.
Oh, well, something bad happened. Oh God, like your stomach turns in knots over. You lose sleep. I mean, it's not always easy. But luckily, things are running smooth, and we've been fortunate enough to have some good success here at the gym.
Yeah.
So, like, as far as difficulty with like a gym, like if somebody wants to get into something like this, what are some of the things you don't like to do? Just give one example. I know one.
I don't like dealing with like taxes and accounting. And
You don't like dealing with money. You don't like asking people.
I don't like dealing with money. And so like one thing is I would say some people that don't like partnerships. I like partnerships because if you find a good partner that rounds you out, that has things that you don't like. Joe, for instance, Joe does things that I don't want to do. I don't want to deal with all the clerical stuff and stuff. He likes that stuff. He gets in there and puts these spreadsheets together. I hate that stuff, right? Like I like training and I like doing this stuff. I like making videos and I like getting people together, and basically playing to my strengths. But Joe plays to his strengths, and we have a very good relationship. And then having guys like Chad in that helps out, that he's good at stuff that I'm not necessarily good at. So it's good to have people in there, right? But there's certain things I don't want to deal with, and I don't. When I was first into this, I used to have a really sort of weird feeling about money, like where I used to be like, I feel bad about it. Now
Yeah,
I don't feel
yeah.
bad about it because it's
Yeah.
the same thing. Like when I go to your wife for a massage, I don't feel bad about paying her money. Like, and she shouldn't feel bad about asking. She's providing a service. So when people come in, I
She
don't.
doesn't feel bad.
I know she doesn't. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and the thing is with jiu-jitsu, you have this weird line where you have the business and you have the relationship.
Yeah.
And you have to straddle somewhere because if you're so far into the business, then you end up turning into like one of his instructors where we've seen them before where they're just like, like you come in and you just feel like you're being wrung out for money, right? Like how much can I get out of this son of a bitch? Or you go too far where you become just personal with people and you don't understand how to draw that boundary and say, listen, I have to make money to keep the lights on, and then your gym closes down.
Right.
So you got to find that middle ground. And and now I don't feel bad about it because I'm like, look, if like for instance, you've been around long enough to see several gyms, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't want this place to go. It does a lot of service. Chad and I have watched people. I've seen Chad grow up. I've seen you be a part of this. I've seen Maddie grow up in here. I've seen like kids come in and stand up to the bullies. We just watched a kid come in the other day who was here like when he was like 11 years old. Now he's back at 16, right? His
That's
dad
awesome.
brought him back in, and he's like ready to be back. And we see people lose weight, like all these different things, right? You can't do that if the business isn't succeeding. So I don't really have any qualms about it anymore.
Yeah, man, you're an OG, and I'm like, holy shit.
Dude,
Like,
you've been here since 2010
I'm like,
or 2009.
I've been at this for fucking.
You've been here with me since 2009. I remember because
You coached me my
His
first.
first day as a green belt.
yeah, Thursday's a green belt. So
Tell
and
them the story. Go
well,
ahead.
well, I wasn't gonna talk about the green belt. What I was gonna talk about it is Eugene's like so. My first tournament as a coach, coaching someone, right? So like being the head coach, right? Was in 2009. Colin and then my coaches were still kind of here a little bit, but they weren't coaching full time. I was like teaching the bulk of the classes, and I remember like Eugene basically had been with me for that time, and he went in for his first tournament, and he was sick as a dog. He comes in, he's like shivering, and he's like keeping his hoodie on, and he's like, I was like, you okay, man? I'm fine, And I was so nervous anyway. Like I just remember then you got out there and you like X-choked 3 dudes, and won the first place.
I think I got
That was a good
third,
tournament.
third in gi and first in no gi.
Okay, I don't remember what happened.
I peaked earlier.
But you did some X chokes though.
Uh,
Don't you say I remember you choking someone with an X choke.
Man, the worst thing was
I
me.
And I'm an elephant. And elephants never forget.
I think it was a loop choke.
The worst thing for me when I
Probably.
was competing, if I wanted to compete, like another reason I quit, because I love competing is what it makes you feel like a winner, makes you feel good. I'm not like attached to the medals or anything or any of that. I just like competing. It lets me improve my skill and give me things to work on and show what I'm really good at. But if I wanted to do a tournament from I'd say, when did I start working? When I was 19.
Something like that.
From 19 till I worked there for about 3 years. 19 till about 21, 22 maybe. If I wanted to compete, I would have to stay up for almost 2 days straight to compete.
Yeah.
It sucks.
So that match you were talking about where we had this for the people listening, we had this big in-house tournament. Dustin Ware, who runs the AGC, basically had this little submission-only series here at the gym, and we had 115 competitors or something like that. And so the gym was just cram-packed with people. And then Chad went against a really tough brown belt at the time, tough brown belt from up in Ohio, and the two went at it. It was a long match. Chad ended up winning. Prior to that match, Chad hadn't slept for like 48 hours, and him and like 3 of the other students thought, hey, got ready for the tournament. I got to go get some food in me. What am I going to go eat? I'm going to go eat bean burritos. Or not bean burritos, breakfast burritos.
burritos.
Hey, Maddie, take the case off that thing. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What?
For what?
It's covering the camera a little bit. Oh, it's not? No. Cool.
Um,
Thought it was. Sorry.
yeah, like it's terrible. That's like a terrible idea. That's
Yeah.
so heavy.
And then who threw it up? You threw it up?
I threw up.
Who else threw it up?
Timmy. I
Timmy
think
threw it up.
threw
I was like,
We were.
I was like breakfast burritos.
We pulled into. I felt it the whole way because I always throw up before competition anyway. So I try not to eat, but Chewy keeps telling me to eat, so I was like, what, I'll try it. So I got a breakfast.
Not a fucking breakfast burrito though. Like eat like a light meal, man.
We pulled in. We pulled into the tournament, or we pulled in here. It's here, and I was like, pull over. They're like, what? It's like the gyms
Oh,
are
you
there. I
pooped
was
on
like,
the
no. I
road?
was like, pull over. So I took off running as fast as I could to the little wood area back there. I was everywhere, and I had to walk back in. I had to throw up all over my shirt, and people are probably like, oh, this guy about to compete.
You know what the most memorable part about that tournament was? Besides you winning, the next morning, like Sunday morning, I come in to like clean up after everything was over, and there was a big piece of poop. Like someone had like I bet someone was vengeful. They were mad at us for something because there was a poop, like a turd, sitting right on the outside of the toilet. So it's like literally someone went in there and was just like, "Yep, I'm gonna right here, right next to the toilet."
At least it was a solid one.
That tournament was like, for me, I remember, was one of the
You bombed that one.
the worst feelings as a jiu-jitsu competitor.
Yeah.
You lost to a guy that you beat before during rolling training and stuff.
Yeah,
no
I
problem.
put him in 3 submissions and I couldn't finish. And then after that, I was like done. Then a guy like helicopter armbarred me in like 12 seconds. And let me tell you, man, and I had a no-gi match after, and let me tell you, I was so done. But you know, I didn't sleep for like a day,
Yeah,
a day and a half, and then like I don't even know if I told anybody. I called my dad up and I was like, "Dad, I'm gonna go do this tournament in Indiana or wherever." I went to do an ego and I did decent.
You always do that. It's funny because like you'll go to these tournaments and you'll have like, you won't do so well, and then you'll immediately compete. Whatever tournament, it doesn't matter. Like whatever tournament it is next week, I'm competing, and you'll go in there and you'll do better. You know.
I think like a lot of it is there's a little extra motivation. Sometimes it's I remember though, like I just wanted to not lose. Like my first match that I won, I won on points.
You were gun shy. Yeah.
I didn't want to lose, and I didn't want to lose. I wanted to win, and I didn't want to lose.
Yeah,
quickly.
of course.
So I ended up getting a loop choke, and the guy rolled out of it. So I ended up, getting the sweep, and then I just like didn't move.
Just
so
coasted, yeah.
The next match, I went against a guy who's beat me like every time we've rolled. This time
Nick?
it went, Nick, who's just so tough.
He's a tough guy.
He's so strong.
He's a tough
like
dude.
he's a damn plumber, and I always tell Chewy about. I was like, dude, he's just so strong.
He's got those grips. He's got those like turtle wrenches all
the man
day.
is like in his 40s, but he looks like he's 25.
He's in great shape,
and he's phenomenal shape. Super nice guy. And then so it was funny
people
because
that are in shape aren't normally nice.
Yeah, no, he's great. No, I just remember we've run into each other Master Worlds.
Yeah, he's incredibly
we
nice.
Like remember each other. We talk to each other. But I remember I didn't have any coaches there. Nobody was there. So I had one more match. It was like at a different weight division or a different age bracket or something. And the guy pulled guard on me, and they were like, he's just going to sit there. His coach was saying this to me. He's going to sit there. He's going to not do anything. And so the guy started trying to sweep, and I just fucking took his ankle and popped it. And I was like, I didn't mean to pop it, but he wouldn't tap it. So, but I felt I felt kind of vindicated a little bit. I was like, all right,
Yeah.
But it's just so mental. It's so mental too, because you can go in there and you can see these people compete, and you like can get in your head. So yeah, that's where a game plan though, for real. Like we talked about a game plan. We talked about it today because we got a bunch of guys competing. A game plan is, for me, one of the most important things, because if you put the time in, you have a game plan, you don't have to worry about what other person does.
Even if your game plan fails, I mean, it still gives you something to open up with and make you comfortable. Like, if I'm going to go in there and pull guard and try my triangle, if it doesn't work, I'm like, at least comfortable. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Like, we're in a fight now.
Right. I mean, you don't want to start off the match like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
It's like.
I forgot to tell you, too, at the no-gi pans, another reason that I quit my job was because after the match, the dude came up to me, and or he called me the Beast. He's like, the Beast is like, man, I was scared to death to go against you like the whole week. And I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So it sparked me even more. I was like, all right.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, that's life telling you, man, like, dude, you need to change something, and you chose to do so, and obviously things
I remember,
growing.
like, specifically, me and you rolling while you were working, like, really long hours. I remember, like, I was, like, kind of holding my own. I was like, all right, Chad's not whooping my ass. I could just feel, like, you didn't have that extra push. Like, you couldn't, like, put...
So you're fucking tired?
Yeah, you were exactly it. You're just exhausted.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. When we roll, like, I enjoy it. Like, I feel like, even though I get beat up, I always learn something. Like, I get to play around. Like, Chad will play with stuff, and I'll play with stuff, and then it'll just... I think it helps my game.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, most of the time when I'm, like, I don't know, if I'm rolling, like... I mean, back in the day, I would try to, like, kill you every time. But
You
now
used to
I've
do
got
that.
to a point now where I'll let you move.
Sometimes you'll put it on
It's
me.
kind of funny because we got a few people like that, like Albright. He used to never take it easy on anybody,
Yeah.
and now I'll see him over there with a white belt.
Yeah, he's
like,
helping some of the guys
they'll,
out
like
now.
fall over.
It's funny. Yeah, because
It's
it used
awesome.
to be like, you get the new guy and like, don't roll with him or him. Okay, yeah, roll with someone over there. Like, and now all the guys are super,
God, Albright.
super helpful.
Albright's game plan for me: side control,
Just hang on for a while.
belly. Oh
Yeah,
my
go.
god, dude, it's just terrible. I'm like, I hope I can hold him off for a few minutes.
And he's so
but-
funny because he'll like he's one of those guys. I think everybody has one in their gym where like
He's
the guy
awesome.
can leave. They can be gone for like months, and then they come back and they're still tough as nails. Maybe they don't have the cardio, but they're still like, oh my god, this guy's so good.
I'm like, let me get him like 3 rolls in. I'm good.
Right.
I can at least
Yeah,
move
he was
around.
one of the people. As soon as I started working, I remember he took a little break, and then I started working too. And he came in the gym and just fucking smoked me, and I was like, damn it.
What's that like?
I
Like,
couldn't
what-
do anything.
What does that feel like? If you're, and and that's for anybody who's an upper belt gets smoked by a lower.
I don't know.
belt.
If to me, it just makes me like, alright, like you got me, whatever. It's like now I'm gonna try to pick it up, or I'll work on something.
Well, I remember like when I was coming back from like like the nose and knee surgery and everything else, I couldn't really train for like a solid 3-4 months. I remember or actually longer than that. And I remember coming back and speaking of Albright, I remember I was rolling with Albright and we were doing like starting from the back and stuff, and I'm like, I was breathing, man, like breathing heavy, and he's like, all right, guys, he's like, we got him tired. He's like, it won't last forever, like, to make sure you get him.
I remember
And
that.
God, I remember just being like poop, man, and at that point I'd been through this whole like, up and down thing that jiu-jitsu does, where I'm like, whatever, I'll be fine. You know what I mean? But back in the day, like when I remember my first couple layoffs in jiu-jitsu. Oh, dude, I'd get so frustrated because I'd come back and I would roll with someone that I used to beat, and then I was doing everything that I could just to hang on and not get submitted or beat by him. And like, grr, I was just beating you like 2 months ago before like this layoff, and now I'm getting crushed by it. Then you just gotta let it go.
Yeah. It's an ego thing.
Well, it is an ego thing. But you and your partners are gonna like do this back and forth dance for a long time. Like where some days you'll be better than them. Like Joe Armento was talking about the roles that him, Braden, and I forgot who else he was saying. They have these roles where basically no one's doing anything to anyone. Like everybody's just sort of locked into this stalemate because they're all right there at the same level. So.
I also like if I get into like I'm trying to think of a word. Where we get into like that
Scramble?
No, where both of you just aren't doing anything, kind of.
Like
stalling.
stalling.
Well, kind of the stalling game. I mean, what I do is I just won't go with that person for a little while. Because I mean, it also if you're training with
Oh,
the same
you mean
people,
like where
Yeah,
you
like
and your partner,
stagnant
where you guys
position, or-
basically stall out with
yeah,
one
you're
another.
even out.
Yeah,
like,
where you're both like at the same level about, and then you guys are basically just
like me and
just-
you, if we rolled, I mean, we roll every like once a week sometimes.
Yeah.
But if we rolled every day, we would get each other's style, so it wouldn't help us as much.
Yeah.
But if you kind of take a break from that partner and go with somebody new.
Well, yeah, usually
We're lucky enough to have so many people that.
good training partners.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because like obviously you're the same way. Like you want to roll with as many people in the gym as you can,
Yeah.
and then we end up rolling with each other. And typically by that point we either have like a new trick up our sleeve, or
Yeah,
the
exactly.
roll's a little different now. And so then we roll with each other, have a good hard roll, and then we go through everybody else.
Yeah.
And I mean, we roll more than once a week. We roll twice
Oh.
this week already. It's only
Yeah.
Tuesday.
I mean, sometimes. Well, it depends. Sometimes
No, I know,
we'll
I know.
roll like five times a week.
And then
but-
sometimes we'll roll like every day, and then sometimes we'll roll like once, depending on like what the situation
Yeah.
looks like.
I mean, it just gives you a chance to refresh yourself, and then because I remember for a while I was going with one of our purple belts, Dustin, and
Oh yeah.
I was catching him same thing, so I was like, I'm gonna give him like I'll give him like 2 weeks, just I won't go with him at all, and then I'll see what he has to bring to the table. And then when I did that, he came back, he double legged me past my guard. I was like, all right. I was like, so it gives him a chance to kind of venture off, learn some stuff, and then come back and be like, all right, now I got
see
something
some
for you.
different styles,
Well,
different
yeah.
looks.
And we're lucky enough, like you said, we have like a ton of students. So
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I mean, I could roll almost like with every. I mean, we'll have between 20 to 45 people in a class. So I mean, you can roll with a couple. I mean, geez, in a normal rolling session, you could roll with so many different people, and I mean, just you'd be able to roll with maybe one person one roll with each person throughout the week before you had to start over.
Yeah,
next
but
week. There's so many.
I don't know. You just sometimes you find your training partners that you like, have good matches.
Of course,
with.
of course.
Yeah, but that's when you gotta push away from that. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes, I don't know. I mean, I guess like sometimes when I start training for like a tournament or something, or Chewy, Chewy starts training or somebody good, you start training, you're like, man, I'm ready to start rolling. It's like people start kind of shying away from you. It's like that's when you should be going. You can't be afraid to lose.
Right.
You gotta. I don't know. The thing that made me really good at jiu-jitsu is because I always wanted to go with the best person every time. I was like, even as a little kid, I was trying to go with Colin or whoever was beating me. I was like, I'm gonna go with them every time until I can put myself up to their level.
So what do you think about like they said about like I think John Danaher got quoted saying like you should roll with people worse than you like 90% of the time or something like that. Do you feel like that's important to roll people that you're better than more or like to keep it 50-50?
I think you should keep it 50-50 because I'll go with some of our white belts, blue belts, stuff like that, and I'll let them work some stuff that way I can work on like some new or going to new positions. But I think you should keep it when you're going to like unless you're trying to boost your ego and beat up on white belts or something. But I mean, I'm not
Gives you a chance to play though if you go with lower belts.
Yeah, I think like you guys know this. I mean, you can kind of I mean, for me, I'll adjust my aim depending on who I'm rolling with. There's different times where I might harder. But, if I'm rolling with someone of a lesser skill level, I'm not gonna like go crazy. I'm gonna play around with stuff like I basically work with different stuff I need to work on.
Yeah.
Weak stuff. This way, it's like I build up other areas of my game. While then when I roll chatter, you or someone like that's pretty good. Then I'm like, okay, well I'm gonna work on my A game. I want to try this, or maybe some of these moves I've been doing on these white belts. They feel pretty good. Let me see if you can hit that one jab, right? You build them up down here. That's kind of like your research and development to some degree, and then you bring them into your full rolling capacity.
You know what I hate? When you teach a move in class and we drill it, and then you hit it. I mean,
that's good fresh.
That's good fresh. And I know it's coming. I'm like, son of a bitch, I know it's coming.
But then you know that it works.
One of my favorite things, like teaching, I love teaching the beginners because I'll show them a move. I showed just like that basic foot trip. I showed a hip toss, and the same fucking day, like 10 people hit. We had 40 people in class, 10 people hit. I was like, man, it's a good feeling to see like something showed, someone's like, boom, hit it, and it's on point. It's all.
Yeah, like so as far as like teaching belts or like I'm gonna ask you about the women's class. Now I can't remember the time that now you can have all women's class. We have that much, that many people, that many students.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's growing.
And tell me, what do you think are? I'll play a little devil's advocate as well. What was the reasoning for starting a women's class, and then tell me kind of what you guys try to achieve with it.
So with the women's class, like, I started it because we had a bunch of women that were already training, and then we had a bunch of women interested. And for women, it would be the same way if you had, if you had a bunch of guys in something, they were outnumbered. It would be nice to give them a space to themselves, right? Because it's a male-dominated thing. It is what it is. So giving the women a space where it can be like the women, because like you can walk into a room and get a general vibe of what's going on. When you walk into the room when like women are training, one, it smells better, but two, two, it's like you get a different vibe. Like they're training hard, but they're still kind of like laughing and having a good time with each other. It's just different. And so I wanted to give women a space for their own so they could train. Now, that said, there were also a lot of women in this gym who do CrossFit and do boxing, do other stuff, and they were interested in jiu-jitsu. But it's a tough sell to say, hey, do you want to go roll around with a bunch of sweaty dudes? They're like, nope. Not really, tough sell. But hey, would you like to roll around with some women? Yeah, that seems a little bit more, it's easier to do that, right? Yeah. Because you think about in society, women don't really get this close to someone unless it's in intimacy, right? Guys wrestle around. I mean, guys just wrestle around. That's what we do, right? But like women, a lot of times in society are not sort of rewarded to just wrestle around. And so for them to get into jiu-jitsu, they have to ease into that a little bit. And so what happens is let them do the women's class, let them build them up their confidence a little bit, and then they start to trickle over to the men's classes or the mixed classes. And we've seen that there are more women training on a regular basis because of this. Yeah. And at the same time, we get to build the women up a little bit, and it's awesome, and get to train jiu-jitsu because I'm just teaching just regular jiu-jitsu. I'm not going just straight like, rape prevention, self-defense type stuff. We're doing that. We're doing some self-defense stuff, which is in the cycle, but eventually. But what we're just doing right now is just doing jiu-jitsu, just getting them to train, getting them to learn how to sweep each other, learn how to roll with each other, so this way they can get the body awareness and the strength and the confidence to do things.
It was awesome. You've been teaching that class, and one of our ladies, she was so scared to do like the takedowns and stuff.
Rochelle?
Yeah, Rochelle.
Yeah.
She was so scared to do the takedowns, but then when you started that women's only and she started doing it with them, she hopped in with all the guys and was like, she took down a few of them. I was like, nice.
Yeah, and
good.
She's having a ball. Her and her daughter do it together.
Yeah.
It's so awesome. You know what I mean? So just trying to give them a space. It's important, man. Like to give people their own little spots so they can kind of do their thing, you know. So,
Do you see them kind of like? Do you see women like integrate more than once they do that class?
Sure.
They'll
Yes.
kind of integrate more
Because they
out?
have confidence, right? Because again, it's so nerve-wracking that they're doing something, and then they build this confidence up, and they're like, I can do this, right? That's the whole thing with jiu-jitsu. Like a big part of it is like, you know, showing you this is possible. You can do this, right? And so they come in and they a lot of times look at it like, I can't do that. I had plenty of girls, women that have said that where they say, I can't do that, and then they get in there and they're like, I can do this. And then you see them like maybe jump into the men's classes.
Do you
or the
feel like
women's
they
classes.
like women like if they're just only women, or they like what's the feel? Is it a lot like of aggressive rolling? Is it like more laid back? Like what do you feel like the atmosphere is?
It's a little bit more laid back than men. It's not quite as testosterone filled. I mean, no, I'm just. It is what it is. I mean, I'm full of it too. You know, but like
full of what?
testosterone.
Oh, you're mad.
No, like it's a little bit more giggly, right? They laugh a little bit. It really is. No, I'm not making.
I giggle, Chewy.
No, we all giggle when we laugh. We cut up. But like women, just it's a little bit more like they laugh a little bit more than we do. You know, like when they're rolling, it's still hard. Like you know, like you'll see like watch Karen and Madison get after it. You know, like, but it's not like. It's not that same sort of roll that guys get into, like when they get into like a really hard roll where they're like where our heart rate's getting up into the 190 or like grunting at each other. It's a little bit more laid back than that, but they still get after it. It's it's a little different, and it's important to give them their space and let them do that.
Yeah, I think like I don't know if my wife ever thought about doing jiu-jitsu.
We talked about it,
but then about her, like about the women's class, and the one thing I told her, I was like, look. Because she does a bunch of stuff, and I was like, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it, and you gotta be consistent for like 6 months at least to get something out of it. You know what I mean? Like if you don't want to do it after that point, that's fine. You give it a fair shake. But like I think I think jiu-jitsu is one of those things that brings you back to consistency.
Gotta be
like,
at least 6 months before you start. I don't know. That's my thing. People will do jiu-jitsu for like a month, and they're like, man, I'm just not getting it, and then they'll end up quitting or say that they don't want to do it anymore. I was like, it's not something. It takes a lot of time to learn this stuff. It's like if it was easy, you see everybody doing it.
And that's I think there's a middle ground, because you see some people that like they get so hyped up on jiu-jitsu that like they are just like, jiu-jitsu lifestyle, whatever it is, and then like they're jiu-jitsu everything, and they get burnt out.
They're shooting stars.
Yeah. And they're exactly.
That's what
I've never
I call
heard that, but that's really.
Those are my shooting star students, right? Because that's what I call them, because they come in and like they're like jiu-jitsu. They bought 6 gis and they've only been there a week. They're doing all this stuff. They're like posting on Facebook all the time. Every time they train, they post on Facebook, and they're like doing all this stuff, and all of a sudden, boom, they just die out, and they burn out, and then you're like, what happened? I don't know. Like it's like again, and I've talked about some of my videos like where. The guys, I can almost watch and see which ones are going to be, because it's the guys that don't say anything, they don't talk. I mean, they're having a good time, but like they're not like, maybe they post every now and then, maybe they take a picture or something like that, but they're not on Facebook every time they train. They don't really care. They're in here because they want to be in here, right? And again, those guys aren't attached to the long-term outcome. They're just like, hey man, I'm here in training today. Training's awesome, it's fun, and you find like the love for the present moment and find the fun in that, not the I'm chasing after. The goals are important, right? The long-term goals, but it's like you find just the love of what's going on right here now.
It's crazy to look back at like all of our pictures and see like people that are just really, really quiet. And like, man, that dude's been in every fucking picture.
Dude, you were talking about Dustin. That's a sleeper, man.
Yeah.
I look back like way back in the day, and I was like, he's been here forever. He just never talks.
Yeah, and like you talk to me, and I've talked to him a bit more, and you see what's going on under there, and there's a lot more to it than what you think. Just to talk, just normally where he doesn't talk that much. But like when I taught that guy's first class, he did a private lesson. I showed him how to do a double leg. Still, he's good at a double leg. But you can almost see those guys. Whereas we've seen plenty of guys come in and they talk a big game and they're talking about jiu-jitsu. I'm gonna be the next this, that, whatever. Then what happens? Not a thing, because they've grown too attached to that external outcome. That goal that they're chasing, rather than being like, I'm just training.
Yeah, I think that if you were to ask me because you guys that from all levels of athleticism, all levels of backgrounds, all different, rich, poor, doesn't matter, and you still got guys, you got guys that are lawyers that have plenty of money. They come in and they just like the grind.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like Chris Dukes loves, well-educated guy. He started like he started when he was in his 40s.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's like I remember, Saturday we were in here and he went to a seminar and he's like teaching me and he's teaching you stuff and all these like little moves. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. It's just so awesome just to see people's infatuation. The one thing for me, like I think if you ask, I know people ask you all the time, how do you stay with jiu-jitsu? And I get, when I got called an OG, what's the key? And it's just consistency. You just show up. You show up and you do the best you can. And I tell you all the time, like, Chewy, I'm fucking tired, or I'm, God, and this or that. And you're like, dude, you're gonna have good days and bad days. It's okay. You're not giving yourself excuses, but you're here and you're doing the best you can in the circumstance. It's just being consistent and showing up. And sometimes you get your ass kicked, and sometimes you kick. You kind of can.
It's a battle of who can last the longest. I mean, like over the years, you see people just kind of die off, but. Like you're an OG now. It's like
I know, it's crazy.
You've suffered through the beatings, like up there now.
Yeah,
and now
I was a green belt.
Yeah.
So
now you're helping other people grow.
But anything in life that's worth anything requires that.
Yeah.
It requires you to just do it.
People people want stuff like then and now. It's like that's not gonna happen with jiu-jitsu. You gotta take your licks.
At least I hope not.
Everything's like that, man. Like everything that's really worth something, it's like it ain't gonna be easy. You've got to take your. It's gonna take time. You're gonna have those moments where you don't want to do it. You're gonna feel like giving up, and you just keep going. Yep. And you just do it, and you do it for no other reason other than you're just that's because that's what you're doing. Right. Yeah. That's it. Nothing else.
I think there's a you climb that hill, and then once you get to a certain level, it's just a part of what you do, and it's just down. It's easy to show up. You just know on this day.
Once it becomes a part of your routine.
Yeah, it's part of your routine. Exactly.
Even for me, when I was working, I was like, man, I've already, I'm at the gym every day, so I was just. If I hadn't been in that routine, I probably would have said, fuck it and just played video games and drank a beer and went to sleep.
I think jiu-jitsu's addicting in the fact that you can learn a move, and then you can apply it, and you can see it work.
I look at it like a game.
It's a video game. Yeah.
I'm a big video game nerd. I love playing games, so I kind of look at it like that. Like, you look at like a fighting game, you learn a combo, and then boom, then I apply it. Same thing for jiu-jitsu. Somebody shows me something, I'm like, ha.
That's what I still get that. Like I always play around with different techniques, and I get away from it. But I've been trying, just to stick with one technique or get in one position. So like when you said pick your submission, we had a
Saturday.
You said pick your submission, and that was submission I was working on, and so getting into that, getting the position that you want, or even hitting that submission from different areas or different positions was like it starts opening up your mind a little bit.
Because you're no longer
how can I hit it from here?
Because you take that big wide array of stuff that you have like as an option to you, and you just focus on just this one thing. You get rid of everything else, so you become very creative because you're not focused on everything else. You're just this one thing.
I think that's a great way. Like I think for me, the way that
it's like most people do this thing where they do like half-ass drilling, right? Yeah. Like they really slow drilling, and they go through and they learn a bazillion techniques in a class, and then all right, guys, full roll.
One ear and out the other.
Right. Well, and then they don't. And even if they want to learn it, they haven't had the time to build up because your body to go through. Unless you're really good and you're all like, so let's say for instance, like someone teaches you some sort of weird rear naked choke variation. If you're already good at the rear naked choke, then the variation probably won't be that hard to do. But again, if you need more time in the position, then you sort of close the gap. You say, okay, well, we start with like really slow drilling. Then you do it faster. So then you get used to stressing that body out a little bit. Then you go into situational rolling, right? Where basically now you have a person that's resisting you, but in that spot that you're trying to work from. And then that's how you sort of close that gap there between the two.
And then muscle memory,
Well, over that time period, you're building it because you're drilling.
I've noticed
drilling faster, situational rolling, and then you close that gap then you eventually find yourself sort of peeking out.
I've noticed a huge difference in our beginners class because used to just let everybody full roll after, and now we've been kind of situational. Like Mondays we'll do all takedowns, and then the rest of the week whatever we're going over. But you see people in those positions now. Like we've been working the closed guard and open guard for about 3 weeks now, and tonight I was seeing people just snap up arm bars like it was nothing compared to like people who've only been here 3 weeks. They started at that 3 week point when we were doing arm bars. They're snagging it up on people. It's like awesome.
Yeah, and having that long term. So because a lot of times people go through a weekend. Yeah. You come back, hey, what did we work last week? Oh, right. So then you come back and then we're revisiting everything now. So now you get to jog your mind again.
Yeah.
So you want to do some Q&A?
Let's do some Q&A.
Let's do it. We got some stuff.
So guys, we're now opening up to Q&A. So if you have some questions you want to throw out there, let's throw them out. And
Throw them.
Chad, myself, and Eugene will do our best to answer some stuff for you.
What we got? Oh, is there a lot?
No, that's just, they've been just kind of talking. So.
Who's been talking? Come on.
Here, I'm gonna pull up the thing while you're doing it too. Keep going.
Chewy's got to get his iPad because he's fancy.
Oh, shut up.
He's so fancy. What you got? Guys, questions? Anyone?
In a world where two men ask
Chad.
questions. Chad's on his cell phone.
Chad,
Oh,
how
I was
you-
looking at the questions.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah,
You got
I was looking
some?
at the questions.
All right, let's see it.
Yes, I
See
am.
what we got.
Someone said, me, first question.
First question.
Everybody says that.
Hey, Professor Chew, last year I lived a pretty bad lifestyle, laziness, a bad diet, and no sports. And when now I decide I am getting tired during warm-ups, is that normal? Any advice for me?
How long have you been? Well, I'll just say like this. Yes, it's normal to be tired through warm-ups sometimes. You're going to get tired through some stuff. Your diet is probably going to be a big role or play a big role. I don't know if you're taking a bunch of caffeine prior to training. That would not be a good idea. Let me look here at the question again because I didn't really sort of get
Come
it.
on, Chad.
No, it's not Chad's fault. It's my fault.
Hey.
How do I get the question up here?
I don't know.
Another one, but
Here, you want to just
Yeah,
look
just
at
let me
one?
read it real quick.
It's right there. It says, hey, Professor Chew.
All right, let's look here. We got, hey, Professor Chew, last year I lived a pretty bad lifestyle, laziness and a bad diet, no sports. And when I decide I'm getting tired during warm-ups, is that normal? Any advice? So, man, if you lived a bad lifestyle, you were lazy, you had a bad diet, you weren't training anything, then it's absolutely normal for you to be tired during warm-ups when you're getting back into something. Because think about that, man, like, you know, your body is a machine, and you let that machine sort of go unused, and it got out of basically in disrepair. And so now you're working on repairing that thing through exercise and improving your diet and everything else. So it's absolutely normal. When you go into training, one of the guys that we had years ago, he was a really heavy guy. He was about 300 pounds at the time, and when he would go just to do the warm-ups, he would like wheeze. And so what I told him to do is, your goal is not to it's not to do anything crazy. Just do a little bit more today than you did yesterday. So you start off with warm-ups. Okay, you got tired during one thing. Okay, next day just try to do a little bit more. And then, okay, now you got through all the warm-ups perfect. Now your first roll, you're exhausted. Cool. Okay, well, take a little bit of rest and then go to the next roll next time. You know, just got little bits by little bits. Again, you're not playing you're not gonna be your best self yet, right? That's gonna be years down the road. So it's a long game. Just be consistent, and over time you'll find that you get in better shape.
Yeah.
Rich asked at the beginning of the live chat, what's the greatest advice you received as a white belt?
What's the greatest advice you received as a white belt?
Greatest advice as a white belt.
What, me? That's Chewy.
You can answer that too if you got some good advice. Greatest advice.
Breathe.
Breathe. That's probably it. Because actually, that's probably funny. Because what does every white belt do?
If you listen to like all of my like old matches, you can hear Kyle and Colin go, breathe.
Oh yeah, dude.
And I'm like, we had one dude, his face was turning purple. He was about to pass out. He had somebody in a choke, but he was about to pass out because he was holding his breath. And you're like, breathe.
Man, I don't know, like, I'll go to wrestling a little bit, because wrestling was my first interaction with grappling. And I remember one of our coaches, like, because wrestling's a one-on-one sport opposed to the rest of them, like they're like ball sports, are popular. So football, basketball, things like that, where you're on a team and you can always point the finger at someone else and say, oh, well, they didn't do this or they didn't do that. But in wrestling, again, just like jiu-jitsu, it's on you. All the pressure's on you. And I remember one of the things that stuck with me, I can keep this with me now, is he would say something to the effect of, it's been a while, but you are the creator of your own destiny, right? So if you put the work in, you train your ass off, then you get to be out there and get that gold medal and stand up on top of the podium. And you can take that to the rest of your life, right? Like, again, in jiu-jitsu and everything else, you create your destiny. What kind of work do you want to put in? Do you want to stay consistent? What do you want to do and what do you want to get out of it? It's up to you, right? You manipulate the surroundings and create your destiny. And that was something from wrestling that stuck with me through jiu-jitsu, through life, through everything else. And I got that from grappling. You are the creator of your destiny.
Can't top that one.
That's pretty good, Chewy. Did you write that quote?
No, I didn't write that quote. That was from Coach Vinegar.
Here's this one's actually how to avoid staph.
Ooh. Clean yourself, man.
So I use, like, first of all, wash your gi every time, and wash your belt.
Okay.
I don't wash my belt every time, but wash your gi, and then also as soon as you get home, I use like defense soap or
I
something.
don't even follow that rule very well.
Clean your gym bag.
Like I'll go home sometimes and I'll just go to sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Like, dude, I'm telling you, bro.
If
Like,
you give your girlfriend staph, she will.
I'm not gonna give her staff, dude. Like we clean the mats. Make sure your coaches clean the mats, or someone's
that's a good
cleaned the
point.
mats. That's really important. If you got any guy that's in there that's like all like filthy and nasty, he's got dirt on him, don't roll with him. We had one guy. This is no joke. We had a guy come in, and he his name was Jeff, and Jeff was training one day, and I didn't notice it. And one of the other guys named John comes up to me, and he's like kind of being quiet about it. He's like, Chewy, I don't think Jeff needs to be on the mat. I'm like, why? He goes, well, I might be wrong, but I think he's got staph. And I was like, what are you talking about? So I said, Jeff, open up your jacket, because he said he had some whatever spots.
Yeah.
He had these big, like nasty, like open sores on his chest. And I was like, close it. I was like, I came up to him. I'm like, Jeff, you need to step off the mat right now. You know, I was like, he's like, and he got really defensive. He's like, and this guy, you gotta understand, he would like get really upset very quick. He's like, man, why do I get off the mat right now? I was like, Jeff, you need to get off the fucking mat right now. I was like, you got staph, you need to go home, and you need to go get some antibiotics, and you know, whatever. So with you guys, if you ever have any sort of skin infection, don't bring it to the gym. But for the most part, I mean, if you clean, man, like it.
I don't believe in taping up ringworm. You gotta stay home.
Yeah.
That shit's going.
Well, and the thing is it's so hard to say where that stuff comes from, because part of it is your immune system. When your body gets wrecked, like, you're susceptible to it. Like, I mean, you know, you can get staph anywhere. Like, it's not like just your jiu-jitsu gym. You can get that stuff anywhere. I had a guy one time that kept getting it. He wasn't getting it here. He was getting it at the regular weightlifting gym that he was at. So clean yourself, do your best, and stay healthy so you have a good, strong immune system.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Here's a good one.
Next question.
Well, here, we'll do this one. How do you throw bigger opponents? I seem to do fine on opponents at similar weight, but if the guy is bigger, the technique is horrible, and I kind of throw them clumsily to side.
Yeah. Yeah. Like,
So-
I wouldn't try to throw a bigger opponent. Like if you're asking me, I can only give you advice from my experience and what I would do. I would not try to throw a bigger opponent. Like, I might do a trip. I might do like an outside single or something where I can get out on the outside of their body. But me lifting up a heavier person, a significantly heavier person, I'm not going to try that. I'm going to be like, that's just not going to be the best idea. Maybe if they're maybe within maybe 10, 20 pounds or something like that. But anything like, I'm not going to try to lift a person up. And I don't know what kind of throw you're talking about. So,
Man.
What'd you see, Maddie? See one?
Only throw that I would try on a bigger person is drop
You can
Sunagi.
do drop Sunagi, and there's like some foot
I
trips
don't know,
and stuff
even
like
that. It depends how big the person is too, honestly. If it's some like ginormous dude, I'm not doing anything to that guy.
All right. Do either one of you lift weights? Thanks.
Nope.
Of course I lift weights. I love lifting
Of
weights.
course you.
All jiu-jitsu.
I love
strength
lifting
right
weights, and also lifting weights is very important to keep off the muscular imbalances so you don't jack up your body,
Oh.
right?
Balance.
Balances, man. Like, you got to work on those hip extension muscles, like your glutes and everything else, and firearms. And so this way and the abductors.
The abductors.
Abductors. So I always get the adductors and abductors mixed up.
So think about, here's a simple tip. If you adduct, you're adding.
Okay.
If you're abducting, you're bringing away.
Okay. Fair enough.
So if you're adducting, you're adding.
But so we do a lot of flexion. Everything's like curling in.
Yes.
So we've got to strengthen that upper back so that we pull our shoulders back in a good position, and we've got to strengthen those hip flexors, like going outward, like the extension muscles, right? Because
Yes.
that leads to a lot of hip, lower back issues, which can go all the way upstream to your upper back, your neck, and everything else.
Yeah, so I think what Chewy is mentioning, besides just like, I think squatting and deadlifts and all that stuff are great, but corrective exercise is really important. I just think, obviously you talk about a flexed posture, so working on like the muscles in the back of the shoulders, like shoulder blades, stretching muscles that are
Stretching are
tight.
good.
Also just being aware of your posture, like being really aware of your posture. I've been, I've tried to be more aware. I've been playing around with that like upright go thing, which like you attaches to your phone.
Okay,
The
you were
app
telling me
thing, I was
about
telling
it.
you about it. So I've
Yeah.
been playing around with it. It's pretty cool. You put it on your back and it like vibrates you if you're slouching.
How's it working?
It's pretty cool. I like it. I think you can't. It's not possible, to always have perfect posture, and doesn't even really recommend that you do that.
Well, the thing is I mean, like, for jiu-jitsu, we have to have kind of funky posture for what we do because
Yes.
our sport requires us to be like this, right? Where we round our backs in the bottom and
Right.
our elbows come in and we're putting our shoulder in a weird spot. But again, it's like day to day, 24 hours a day. We don't want to be walking around like this,
Yeah, I think specific, like, obviously I'm a physical therapist, so I think physical therapy is even a great thing to do, even if you don't have injury, as a prehab thing. But yoga is phenomenal.
I love yoga.
I think yoga is so good for breathing, for core stuff. It's not, people think yoga is just like, oh, I'm just stretching out.
It's tough.
Dude, it's so important, to integrate your breathing, your core stability, your balance, just a lot of those things. And you're getting these positions that are kind of funky, and as a jiu-jitsu player, you're not used to, because you're kind of opening up, and they feel almost unnatural to you as a jiu-jitsu player. You feel very unnatural, kind of opening up your body. But it's really good to correct. And Chad's been dealing with some injuries, and I think I've kind of put some things in his head on correcting some of the things, because he's 23, but he's got some dysfunctions in his body he's developed from like 11 years of jiu-jitsu, which he's like, oh, I just, because he's a young guy, and he's like, I can just get up and roll and do it all I want. But
Right.
now it's your livelihood. You got to really do
Yeah.
corrective shit. You got to put time
I like
in.
I don't mind stretching. Like I try to stretch at least like an hour a day, or like at home I'll do like my butterfly stretch
Yeah.
and stretch out my shoulders, 'cause my shoulders get really tight.
Right.
And I find if I stretch, like as soon as I get home, I feel a lot better the next day. If I don't stretch, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know. I never got into lifting weights or anything, 'cause I always feel like, I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty strong, just jiu-jitsu.
Well, I think you developed a jiu-jitsu specific strength, like a
Yeah.
squeeze, or like, just like you're really strong in certain ways, but if you probably have to go squat a bunch of weight, or
Yeah, I probably
you
couldn't do
probably
it.
couldn't do a whole lot. But
Yeah.
and that's why they develop, like with jiu-jitsu, you develop a squeeze, so to speak, or like certain,
Yeah,
I'm sure
I guess I've never needed any of that stuff. I'm like, I don't care about
you
like.
will when you get old, buddy.
Yeah. Maybe when I get older. Right now, I don't know. I probably should listen and do
You
it.
should,
But
you should lift with us a little bit, and I mean, it doesn't take long. Plus, man, you start getting a little. Plus, you start getting a little stronger. You might be like, all right,
Yeah,
this
dude, you
isn't so
can
bad.
ragdoll some people
Yeah.
even more. Here's a business question.
Oh boy.
I'll ask this one. Do you
Business
give
question.
Do you give your black belts a discount for training at your gym?
A lot of our old school guys already have discounts. A lot of you guys do. A lot of you guys don't pay for it. Right?
All right. Well.
What?
Eh,
So here's the thing. Like,
Dude.
so here's a good thing. I would give anybody discounts, people that help train, obviously,
Sure.
like, whatever. The thing is what happens if I have like my guys that use the gym the most paying the least?
Right.
So then it's like, well, then I'm in a bad spot, because now it's like I got these guys that, like, these white belts, and the new people can't come in and train as much because the gym mats are being used. So I'll give discounts, and I'll give people breaks, and if people help out a little bit, I can always, like, get rid of their membership and stuff like that. But at the same time, if you're using the gym, it is one of those things where it's like, I mean, eventually we're gonna have like 20 black belts on the mat. It's like, and I can't simply just give like, a sizable chunk of the membership, just like, all right guys, like, I'll find another way to keep the lights on, right?
somebody
Like,
was telling me they charge more, like white belts they charge the least, and as you get promoted, you get charged more.
now that said, I don't charge
you
like
don't
belt
charge more.
testing fees or anything like that. And like, I've seen some gyms where they charge, like, there was one gym, it was $2,000, bro, for your belt testing fee as a black belt. $2,000.
My taekwondo belt, or when I paid for my, Earl didn't pay for my black belt. Well,
Well,
I
you
guess
sorta did.
technically I did.
Technically, you paid for it.
It was $200 to test.
God,
Jeez.
I think like and somebody asked why does jiu-jitsu cost so much. That was a question, and I think like
It doesn't cost that much.
well, it depends on where you're
Depends
at.
where you're at.
Obviously,
It doesn't cost that much.
It depends on where you're at, but I think that
Bro, people spend like, we can get into this. There's
Yes.
value, and there's value, and then there's, it's just expensive, right?
right.
jiu-jitsu is valuable, right? Like,
Yeah,
like
for
look
sure.
how passionate you're speaking about it,
Right.
right? It's like, man, like you're like, this thing's would change his life. We have people come in that literally will tell me this changed my life.
Right.
Right? Like this is a game changer for me, right? Dude, I would pay like how many fucking bullshit things get sold on the internet right now where they're like, hey, if you buy this product, you'll get this thing. Buy now, right? Like it's the dream to or it's the way to look the way you want to look.
Right.
It's the way to do this, that, whatever. It's the secret things for success for the rest of your life, right? So if only you had a little thing like where you could do every week where you could train and be a part of something that would change your life. You said, but all I've got to do is show up and I just got to pay this little bit of money, this $90 or this $100 or whatever it is. Like, dude, sign me up.
I think it's the product. Like, you know, I mean, obviously there's people can overcharge for stuff, but like
This
I
is
think,
true.
But I think like it's the product, and if it's worth it to you, you know, like to invest
Because
in,
it's
in
valuable.
Yeah, it's valuable.
There's value to it. It's not just you're not buying like. And again, some people will argue that and like, oh, it's just too expensive, and that's fine if you think it's too expensive. But bro, like, how many people do you see go out and like go to bars at night and spend
Right.
like $100 on a round of drinks? It's like I used to go to like when I was in school. I remember like guys would be like, come hang out with us and like go to like a strip club or something, or go out to the party or something. I'm like, no, man, I got to train tomorrow and I don't
Right.
have a lot of money.
Right.
So like when I was like a young kid, I was like, I'm not gonna go out and buy all this shit because I'm like, not until I had the girlfriend later on. I had a job,
Yeah.
but while I was young and I was broke, I didn't spend my money on stuff because I was like, I gotta
Right.
train, and so I would
Right,
pay
right.
my money. I paid for my membership and my buddy's membership so he could train with me, so that he would come with me. And so I was 18 years old paying 150, 160 bucks a month, right? To train, and I was paying like going and competing and everything else. Like you can find the money for what you want. I just feel like a lot of times people say, oh, it's expensive or it's this or whatever. It's like, man,
We got guys who ride bikes here. It's like,
Right.
it's like they pay their membership every month. They'll ride a bike here if they have to get
dude,
in the snow.
I gave Nathan Gwen one of I
Yeah, I
gave him my
remember.
bike, and because he said he lived down the street, and I told him I'd give him a ride, but in the meantime I was like, here man, I gave him one of my bikes, and you can just ride this to the gym.
He had a wicked mustache.
Yeah, he
Really
did.
nice.
He did have a nice mustache.
Really nice mustache. All right.
See you, Maddie?
Rich did ask, again, is it okay to ask your BJJ professor questions during a class?
Absolutely.
It seems like you're just supposed to listen to the initial instruction and not say anything to him throughout the class.
I had someone come up to me tonight and they're like, "Hey, sorry I asked so many questions." I was like, "What?" I was
Yeah.
like, "No, you're supposed to." It was like,
Dude.
that's how you get better. I remember going to a tournament. It was the first tournament I lost. I got Darce choked. I didn't even know what it was. I never even heard of the Darce choke. So I went up to Kyle and I asked him like every escape, every way to entry, and me and him was like, I asked him every single day just what I had to do to get this
Right.
position better. You're not getting on my nerves.
No.
I mean, there are some people like kind of.
Well, and the thing is, first off, ask as many questions as you want to, because if you're paying your coach for a service, right? You're paying for them to teach you, dude. Take them up on that. Like, if you're paying them, they're there to serve you, regardless of what they want to think. They're there to serve you. Like, if someone comes in, I'm there to serve them. And now it depends on that. What you're talking about, kind of like on that part, was like every now and then you get the guy that's like, I don't know if that would work. Like, again, make sure it's good, constructive questions. But if you have a good question, ask your coach, ask away. Because again, here's another thing that happens. I've noticed this. A lot of times people don't like to ask questions. And then once someone asks a question, because I'll even ask, like, you guys have any questions? And nobody asks a question. And then one person asks a question, and then all of a sudden, everybody else starts, like, asking questions, starts popping up. So maybe you'll be helping someone else, like, either sort of learn the move a little bit better by, going a little bit deeper into the explanation. But yes, ask questions.
Yeah.
I think like maybe there's proper time to ask questions as well, like not to disrupt like like middle
Yeah,
of
if it's like
a
mid-move.
move. There's
Well, yeah,
gotta
you don't
be-
want to ask like, in the middle of the technique, like while he's in the middle of just demonstrating and stuff. Because I've had that happen before, even a
Right.
couple weeks ago,
You
where
can be
like I'm
distracted.
in the middle of showing a move, and the guy goes, "Hey, 1 second." I'm like, "Let me finish, and I'll ask a
Right,
question
right,
after."
right.
Yeah, absolutely. What was that, Maddie?
Someone asked how to get a Chewjitsu shirt.
Jiu-Jitsu shirt. If you would like a Jiu-Jitsu shirt, we're in stock. We've got, I think, every color that we have available. You can go to jiu-jitsu.net, and there's a little thing that says like, I think it says like T-shirts or something like that at the top, or gear, something like that. Click up there, and you can buy the T-shirt, and we'll have it shipped to you tomorrow.
Should we tell them about our new thing, or should we keep it a secret?
Keep it a secret. So
it a secret? Alright.
we have some special Chad Hardy and Jiu-Jitsu shirts coming out soon.
What?
So yeah, so you have to be on the lookout for those.
Yeah, we'll keep
And
it
they're
on
only
lock.
going to be available for a limited time.
Yeah.
Is there gonna be a hashtag on this shirt?
We-
You'll have to see.
We're not going to say.
I
I'm
want a
not saying
hashtag.
anything.
We're not gonna say.
If you guys can guess the hashtag, I'm kidding. They'll know what it is.
I've been working on another big project. Me and my buddy, my old instructor, Colin, me and him have been working on this thing for probably about 4 months now. Just working on getting everything together, but we're gonna release that next week too, I think.
What is it? You can't tell us either?
No.
You can't, like, hint to it. And
Nah.
Chewy, you got something
You
in the
should-
works as well.
I can.
I always
can.
have something
I'm
in
gonna
the
do
works,
it too.
I've got something in the works too.
But I've had people write me like constantly asking for this, so I'm not gonna give anything
Try
away.
and give it away. Well, how are we supposed
Just-
to get pumped
Nah,
up for it?
well,
So you are pumped up for it. Now you just follow the channel and just wait and see,
Yeah.
man.
all you gotta do is wait a week.
Anticipation.
Yeah. So in a week, I'm gonna release it on all my social media and on my YouTube and stuff. So
Oh my God!
yeah, you'll be able to see it
Can't
all.
wait.
Put a lot of work into it, so
Yes, you were here one night working on something.
yeah, we're here
I was
all
spying
night,
on you.
all night.
Do you have a question, Maddie?
None that I want to read aloud.
Oh, what'd you get? What'd you
Yeah,
get?
let's get a
I'm
good
not
one.
reading it
Let me
aloud.
see it. Let's see what it is.
Let's see it.
Let's see what we got. Oh God.
What does it say? What does it say?
You want me to read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that the one we're looking at?
The
Is that
feed's
the
not
one?
even on mine anymore.
The
Hey.
one.
Masturbation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does masturbation make you weak?
All right. So
No.
Norman Edwards. Since
Wasn't
you
that a
asked the
legit
question.
thing, though? Like that GSP, like that they wouldn't.
I guess kind of like it goes along lines of, I mean, you don't have to think that, but maybe like sexual activity. Like, does it like drain your
Sexual?
power?
No, man. Sexual. They've already done studies.
Remember
on
it
it.
said Ronda Rousey
Yeah,
wouldn't like be intimate or
people
whatever.
say that, but sexual activity, like that only. I remember I used to do that too. It was like it's a rite of passage. Like I wouldn't have sex for like weeks before, like, or a month before a fight or something. But they've already done studies where it shows like if you're active, that your testosterone, everything increases from that. So you're better off just doing it. I think what they were trying to get at back in the days, like as old school trainers would say, that women weaken legs. Because if guys are out chasing girls all night and they're not training properly, then they're going to get tired and they're not going to, train effectively. As far as masturbation making you weak, no, I don't think it makes you weak, man. Now, if you're doing it too much, then you got some different problems. But
If Chewy comes into class really relaxed, we know something's up.
Someone said, it's a pretty good question. Said, what is the toughest guard, or I'm trying to think who has the toughest guard to pass that you've won against?
who, me? Or
Yeah,
you?
well, they asked both of us.
Toughest guard I've ever had to pass. That's different because
Yeah.
every guard, like different types of guards have like different like things to them, like passing. Because you like, for instance, like if I'm passing Chad's guard opposed to say passing, like Chad plays a much more wide open game with his legs. If I pass someone that has like a half guard game, I'm going to pass those guards two completely different ways. You're not going to use the same techniques. So it depends. I don't know.
I've won against like, I might butcher it, Augusto Machino, black belt world champion.
Yeah, he just.
I've won against him.
Coutinho or
I've won
something like
against.
that.
I don't know.
That was the one where they made you change pants.
Yeah, in the middle of the
row.
match.
That
Yeah.
was crazy. Middle of the
Okay.
match.
He's
Got
a
gypped.
good dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
good. He's tough.
solid.
But I mean, I've won against him. I've won against all kinds of black belt world champions and stuff. But I mean, like you said, it's just everybody has a different style that you just got to get used to. I mean, there's plenty of people that have had a little bit of trouble passing, but once you can chip away at it, you can pass anybody's guard eventually.
I don't know. It's a tough question to ask because
Yeah.
there's years and years of grappling to like say.
Different strokes for different folks.
Are we going back to the masturbation question?
No. Yeah, I mean, I think Chad's got a phenomenal open guard. It's really hard to pass for me.
Yeah.
So I always watch. They don't know this probably, so maybe I'm creeping, but I like to watch you two all roll, or even somebody that's like.
Did you watch
high
this
level.
tonight?
I didn't because I was too busy.
We were
doing
getting
my
down
own
tonight
thing.
after I had my heart rate going, my heart rate monitor going. I was up in the 180s for a little bit, like when Chad and I I would watch as soon as like the rolls started with Chad, it went right up, and we were in like the 180 range for a short time. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like. I mean, I think just just watching you guys roll. It's just fun. It's fun to watch that level.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got another one for us, Maddie?
Kyle asked to all of you, what is your favorite submission and why?
Favorite submission. Typically that will depend on like what I'm feeling at the time, because I tend to have like this thing where I'll jump around from like that becomes my submission for a while. But I think like long term, like my favorite submission overall, what do you think it is?
Yours?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the key lock. Or no, Kimura.
Kimura's been my best
That's true.
moves.
If you get it, you pass, get in the side or
Yeah.
top.
Well, I mean,
half or
I
side
can
control.
hit it all over the place, but I've got short, like stocky arms, and so I get a hold of that sucker and just. So, I wonder what your favorite submission
Chad's
is.
is a triangle.
No.
No, his favorite submission.
Favorite submission? Okay.
His favorite submission is a kilo. Fucking triangle.
I don't know.
I mean,
Well, I'm known for a triangle, but if you watch like all my matches, I win all of my matches with arm bars. Like,
Really?
well, it's a triangle arm bar
Yeah.
is my favorite submission. Like,
Alright,
if I want to
what's
get
my
down
favorite
to
submission?
loop choke.
which is fun. Like I love the loop choke obviously, but I also like enjoy
Well, everybody
no-gi.
likes different stuff. Yeah.
no gi. Like I really like it because it makes me play different stuff. Like it really.
my second favorite's a toe hold. I love the toe hold.
My second favorite's wrist locks. I love wrist locking
Prison
people.
rolls.
Oh well, I just think it's fun because like you can like submit someone with something where it's like motherfucker. Like,
I got a wrist lock today.
Yeah,
That's fun.
I like the twister for that reason. Put somebody in a twister, like fuck you.
It sucks. It's not fun. All right, there was a good one. Hold on. It was about.
Masturbating.
No.
We're going back to masturbating. Does
This is
masturbation
Chewy. This
make you
one's for
weak?
you, and I like this, and I'll ask this
Ah,
from the
shit.
chat as well.
Ugh.
Chewy, would you ever consider a super fight a sub-only event?
Well, yeah. I mean,
Like-
like if I was planning on competing and I wanted to compete, I don't care. I honestly, submission only to me is that's kind of how I roll anyway. I'm really bad about even keeping track of points, like at point tournaments, because when I compete, I'm not there to like win by a point like spread. I'm there to submit the other person. And so it happens plenty of times where like I've actually been in control of the match. Like if I had rolled with that person inside of the gym, I would have considered like I sort of won the engagement.
Yeah.
But because I didn't like secure a couple little things on for points, I lost the match.
Right.
I lose by an advantage, lose by a point or something. So I to me, submission only. That's what you should be chasing anyway. So it really doesn't change anything.
Yeah.
And you've done submission only tournaments plenty of times.
Yeah, I'm going out there. I mean, even point tournaments, I'm going out there to submit somebody or get submitted. I'm
Kill
not
or be
playing-
killed, man.
Yeah.
Is there a favorite rule set you guys like? EBI.
Like I'll have an hour-long match if I have to.
So no time limit submission.
Yeah.
I like the fight to win setup because I like the idea of basically, look, it's a submission only, but there is an end to the match, so you guys need to get after it instead of being like, someone's going to win or lose, right? Like, so there's not going to be like, the long time frames, like those can be great, like if you have two guys that are going to get after it, but if you have one guy that tends to like sort of like backpedal, it turns into a boring slog. And then EBI is really cool, but the only problem about EBI is some guys will stall the first
out.
10 minutes,
Right.
and then they'll wait for the overtime rounds to really get going. And to me, it's like I like the idea of like, look, it's you're judged typically unless you do like a no time limit.
I
submission
think
only.
they should do one tournament. I mean, if you want to really prove who's the best person, like you can't do it by going by like points and all that shit. It's like go like have one tournament per year. You have all the top guys, and you just go till you get submitted. I don't care if you go an hour and a half long.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, I don't think that many people would go for that because
They wouldn't watch it, but
well, they wouldn't watch it. But I don't think a lot of people would sign up for those kinds of tournaments because, like, you can lose a match by points, and you're like, I lost by points, right?
Right.
You can, go to an EBI. Oh, he held me a little bit longer in overtime, right? But getting in, there is a different mindset where you walk on the mat, you and I are about to go until one of us is finished. That's a different mindset, right? And again, you have to have two guys that are ready to go because what ends up happening is if you have two guys that are ready to like throw down, that's a fantastic match.
Right.
If you have two guys that like, you have one that wants to go and the other guy doesn't, if you're at the black belt level, man, like, I mean, if a guy doesn't want to engage, he can show up pretty well, and like then it becomes this boring match where nothing happens. That's where like Metamorph was a great example of that. Metamorph, 20 minutes, right? Let's go get it, guys. And you saw more like they were supposed to not have draws and they won, but they went back to it. You had nothing but draws all the time, and it was terribly boring to watch. Like Ambulance.
Ambulance.
You got to see one live, guys.
There it
There's
is.
an
There it
ambulance.
is. Oh, that's a.
Oh,
cop.
it's a cop car. It's a police officer, police car. But you saw it in Metamoris, it was terrible. It's like you're watching these matches. I would literally be sleeping. Like, ugh. There was one time where I was watching the Copa Podial and the Metamoris events at the same time, and I remember it was like there was no better contrast. It was the match with Durinho and another cop car.
Another cop car.
Another cop car.
Dixie Highway.
That's right. It was a match with Durinho and Gilbert Burns, and I think it was who's the one guy? He was smaller and he was bigger. I can't remember his name. God, I love watching his matches too. Leandro Lo. And Leandro Lo chokes him out. Like they had this. It's like a long match. Like I think it was 15 minutes or something at the time. And they come up and they stand. Right. Leandro had him an X choke. They ended up standing up. And he chokes him like forehead to forehead, sweating everywhere with an X choke. And it was just like this, like just finished this guy. And then I go back to watching Metamoris, and it's like nobody's doing anything because everybody at the end of the match goes, all right, guys, I'll be back next time. It's like, this is boring. Like nobody's going after the kill.
I like the fight to win format the best, just because like they don't like EBI. I
do.
It's
I
exciting.
do
EBI is
like
exciting,
it.
but like you're given a position. Like position is important. I mean, I think sometimes yes, you're gonna have to give it up to possibly go for submissions, but that's the thing. If you go for a submission and you don't hit it,
there's a trade-off.
and then EBI, you're like, oh, you're not really penalized for it. I said penal.
Penalized.
I never said that in my life.
I don't know. I just hate I hate the feeling of like just leaving it to the refs. Like sometimes it goes to the
Then
refs.
don't.
Like,
Then go after him. But if you're the one that's
well,
aggressive,
I mean, you can't sometimes. Like I had a match with the Nogi Pans. I was running after. I've had a bunch of matches.
I've had
like,
some of those.
People get so scared of my guard that they just.
So what? So
well, I'll try to take them down too. Like for instance, if you go, if you just type in Nogi, I think it's like Nogi grappling. You go back. You watch that. I'm sprinting after this dude. I'm running. We went from one end of the basketball court to the other end 4 times. Me like trying to take him down, trying to pull, and he was just so scared to engage. Like he didn't want to do anything. I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? And then people will watch that, and then they're like, who won? Like I'm the aggressor, but some dude also could have seen that like, oh, he blocked all of his stuff. Like. I could go either way.
Yeah, I mean, I had.
In my head, I was coming after him as hard as I could, and somebody else's head, they're like, "Oh, that's good technique."
I think what it comes down to, no matter what, though, it doesn't matter the point system or the rule system. It's about the competitors, and you have to have the mindset of like we're going to go in here to finish each other.
Yeah.
Because no matter what, like you can watch. There's some grapplers that like you watch them in whatever event they compete in, and they are exciting every single. It doesn't matter if it's gi, doesn't matter if it's no gi, doesn't matter if it's points, submission only. They're always exciting. And then you watch some guys, and it doesn't matter what format they compete in. It's a snooze fest. There's my ambulance.
There it is.
Ambulance. There it is, right there.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, and I think we talked about Master Worlds was fun to watch because all the old guys.
I did. You said Master, and I thought you were about to say
Master Worlds. It was just fun because you see all the old guys going at it. And
all those old guys. The year that we went, man, like all those dudes were throwing down.
Yeah,
like they were trying to finish. It wasn't like where you teeter totter and like friggin' dry scissor each other's legs for a few minutes, and then like you win by an advantage, and you get up and scream. It's like, why are you raising your hand? If I won by an advantage like that, I'd be like, God, I feel so ashamed.
There's one match, like, if you watch my matches, I'm always trying to be like super fast paced, aggressive, trying to go for the win. But this one guy, he put me in 50-50. We were sitting there he didn't do anything. He just put me in 50-50, and we're just going back and forth. And I was like, man, this is stupid. So I just tapped out and left.
The 50-50 position in the gi sucks because they don't even like. To me, it's like if you're gonna allow 50-50, you guys need to allow heel hooks. Yeah. Because to me, it's like the position like it changes completely when you play with heel hooks.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts. Gi, no gi doesn't matter. If you want to play heel hooks, play the heel hooks.
We got a couple more questions.
Got a couple more questions. Sure. Let's do 2 or 3 more. Yeah.
2 or 3 more. Let's see it. Let's see.
I would like to look at it. I don't know how this iPad thing works because
Let's see.
Hey, I don't know how the iPad works. No, it just like I had it up, but it wasn't like letting me see the. Huh? Yeah, let's do that here.
Thanks, Mike Colley, for liking my beard.
Mike Colley.
Yeah, he was messaging.
You got 2.
Tell
Look at
him
their
that
heads
I
being
like
moved.
his beard.
All right, let's take a look at these questions here. Chewy's got a computer.
All right, 3 more.
All right. Supplements. Let's see here. We got from Saeed IG. Chewjitsu, are there any supplements to which you would recommend, like protein shakes and amino acids? I take protein. I take right now it's wintertime, so I take a D3 to K2 supplement.
K2?
So if you take with magnesium, so if you take D3, vitamin D3,
Okay.
and then take it with K2, they have like sort of, it has a, just read up on it, it has like a synergistic effect. They work really well together, and along with some magnesium. So I'll take magnesium at night before I go to bed. And then post and pre-workout, I'll take a little bit of, we have a dextrose supplement. So basically it's modified dextrose, which basically enters the bloodstream really quickly. So you get that nice jolt of energy from like a bit of some extra carbs. Because my carb intake's kind of low, but then I'll get a little bit of dextrose right before and after trainings to boost me up. I do a little bit of tea throughout the day. I'm trying to cut down on coffee. It seems to like affect me negatively. So my caffeine intake's kind of low, but I'll drink some green tea throughout the day for a little bump. And then a little bump. Protein shakes. Well, a little caffeine boost, I'll drink some protein shakes, and I have like a drink a multivitamin shake. It's like a liquid multivitamin type thing. I'll take some different supplements, but honestly, all that stuff's like extra. The most important thing is your diet, your food. You should be eating really good food. I eat about 5 meals a day and get a ton of veggies in, so that stuff's way more important.
Don't ask me about any of that.
All right, let's see. I'll do one. Here's a good one. For the 3 of you, which high-level black belts do you study?
Ooh.
Black belts. All right, I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I like watching Bernardo Faria's stuff because his frame's so long, but there's definitely stuff that he does, for a tall, lanky guy that I can kind of use. Marcelo Garcia, for sure. And then I like watching Keenan and stuff. It's kind of, not everything, Keenan as well.
So for me, like, one of the guys, I watch all kinds of black belts and it's all over the place, but one guy that like had a pretty big impact in my game when I was a brown belt was actually Govao.
Yeah.
Because I watched him because he does pretty he doesn't do anything like crazy. Like it's not like I'm like if I watch like some of the little guys that do all this inverting stuff that I have, like I'm not like I don't want to do it. Right? It's not going to work well for me being such a big guy. All it looks like is like neck problems. And so
Yes.
for me, it's almost like looking like someone speaking a language that it's like a different dialect where it's a little bit like what are they trying to say, right? It just doesn't really link up well with me. But like where I watch like him, it's like I can see what he's doing, and it's like oh man, like it's a pretty straightforward game, and he moves a lot, and I enjoyed watching it. So when I was a brown belt, I was about 230 at the time, and I remember like I was big, so strong, but I was like man, I want to move more. I want to be like I don't want to be the big guy that's just like strong. I want to be the big guy that's moving around and keeping a good pace. And so that's what started me to do that because I remember I'd watch his matches and I'm like, man, look at that pace he's keeping. He's a pretty stocky guy, but he's keeping a really fast pace. And I was like, man, I want to do the same thing. So him and Bernardo Faria, deep half guard, Lucas Lech, half guard, Marcel Garcia, Butterfly X. You watch all these guys, and I mean, there's so many good people out there. And then there's random guys that you'll meet along the way that nobody knows who they are. But then they'll make a great impact on your game, or they'll show you some really cool stuff. I mean, shoot, there's been so many guys that have like shown me something, and nobody knows who they are. Yeah. They're not a famous black belt or anything, but man, the guys are knowledgeable, and they were able to show some good stuff.
Chad, who you got, buddy? Who you like?
I watch myself.
Yeah.
Watch videos.
I watch the Chad Hardy YouTube
roll in
channel.
the mirror.
Well, to be 100% honest, I find it really hard to. I'm trying to think, like
to masturbate.
Yeah, to masturbate, man.
Alright,
it's difficult.
I can't help it.
Fuck, I lost my train of thought now.
Who do you like to? Is there anybody you like to watch? I mean, do you like? Think about.
Well, oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Well, I mean, I don't know, like, I can't watch football or basketball or any sport. Like, I just think it's kind of boring to me. But I can do that sport and I can love it. But to watch it, it's hard for me. Unless somebody puts like, that's why I like on my channel I like to do like stupid stuff, because it kind of, if somebody's doing something like just off the wall, you're like, it kind of makes me pay attention more. But if it's just like, I don't know, I just can't get into it much, I guess.
Where'd you learn all your stuff? Like your arm bar, your triangle, just being on the mats? Kyle.
Well, you had
Yeah,
the,
well, I mean,
Colin.
I'll give credit to people like, I mean, Kyle, Colin, Chewy. They've all, like Kyle, he gave me most of my daily Hiva stuff. Chewy's gave me like my smash passing. Colin gave me like the weird, just all kinds of crazy stuff.
he had some good stuff.
I
But then
mean,
you make it your own.
yeah, but then I've made it my own. Like I remember, I would come in all the time with one of my buddies, Jake, and I would be like,
Yeah.
all right, well, what if you do this? What if I can do this? And like, and we would just go back and forth. Like, all right, if I put you in this, how are you gonna escape it? I'm like, and he would do something, and I would go off that, and that kind of. The main thing to me is like if you do tournaments, like I would go to tournaments, I would almost try new stuff at tournaments most of the time. And if I would hit it, I'm like sweet, I'm just gonna add that to my game, and then if not, I knew that I could get back to my guard pretty easy, so I would just try something crazy, and then if it didn't work, end up back in my guard, and I was doing fine.
All right. We got one more.
Yeah, we've got some. Some of these are like kind of deep, and I'd end up going for 20 minutes on a rant. Could I submit Richard Cheese Allen Alien Hunter?
He's been trolling the whole
Yeah. Could you submit Bigfoot? Sure could, Richard Cheese.
You're damn right over.
Damn right I could submit
He's
Bigfoot.
got a big foot. You use ankle.
I'll put ankle lock him.
That's right.
Here's a good question. This is just a great one. Chad, you can chime in on this one. Eugene, you can as well.
Last one.
Here,
gotta be a good
there's
one.
a couple of them here.
It's
Real
gotta
quick.
be a good one.
Lance Velasquez, well, this one's not the one, but he says, how do you get better when your coach doesn't show up for class in the morning and I'm not able to go to evening class and it's the only gym in town? Call him out on something, man. Like, be like, talk to your coach, where the hell are you? Like, ask if you can get a key or something, man. Like, that's not acceptable. So, like, if you're supposed to have class and your coach doesn't show up, be like, bro, I'm paying you for a service. You said the class was going on here. Either take the class off, so I'm not expecting it, or do your damn job and teach a class right here. Or and even see if maybe one of the upper belts could maybe run the class.
Ooh.
That's serious, man, because that's like, if you're gonna run a gym, man, you gotta run a gym and you gotta be professional, because if people depend upon you, you gotta friggin' be there.
That pisses me off too, because if I show up to something and like, I'm like, man, I don't know. For me, I was like, my day, I value my time. So if I come,
Everybody does,
it's like
man.
if one of the things that kind of pisses me off, and I don't say anything most of the time, but like if somebody schedules a private lesson and then you don't show up and you're like, oh, I overslept, I was like, you know what? I took an hour of my day. I came to the gym early just to be here so I could teach you. It's like, and it's like, and you just like, I mean, it doesn't affect your day at
You
all.
always
so you
show
don't
up
care.
early though, don't you?
I'm here.
And you always kind of.
I'm
You're not late, but you kind of are.
I'm
I'm
everywhere
always
an
here.
hour
You're on
early.
your own time.
I'm always here early. When am I not here early?
I'm not saying.
I'm here in the morning.
saying like
Dude, I'm here in the morning at 8 o'clock. Like I'm here in the morning sometimes at 7 o'clock, bro. But class is at 11. I'm here.
Yeah.
Always.
I'm an
It's
hour
like-
early to everything. I don't know. We'll be the first one in the parking lot.
No, you're always here. We just like.
No. With this stuff, with my profession, I'm
Good
always on time.
grief.
But now when we go out for
Yes.
beers, I'm like, yeah, I'll be like 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
Whatever, we're having beers.
No, it's
Um,
like I expect you there. I'm waiting. I've slaved over dinner, and it's hot.
And guess what?
I want you to eat it when it's hot.
And guess what, Buttercup? You know I'm going to be 15 minutes late.
I've been that way on everything. I'll always be there. Like I don't know if you said we were going to the movies, I'll be there like an hour
Like early.
before, just to
Yeah.
and then I'll wait and just be like, all right, there's. I don't know. It's just.
Here's
That's
a good
cool.
one.
That's a good thing though.
Abdel Escalante says, Chewy, with so much training on a daily basis, do you ever get submitted by your lower belts? Fuck yeah. Absolutely. Happens all the time. Like, now, it's like this. If I was to roll with my lower belts and like just like squeeze them and not let them move, would I get submitted from them? I mean, probably not that much. But like, I want to like play around with stuff and I want to grow myself. So I put myself in all kinds of weird, funky positions. Sometimes I want to see what they're doing. So I'll let them like put me in a bad spot and let's see if I can escape. And sometimes they choke me, or sometimes they get me in a leg lock or something like that. You know, I mean, it just happens. So absolutely, I've gotten submitted by like all my lower guys. And then there's some days where, man, I'm just not feeling that hot. And like maybe Eugene comes in and Eugene's friggin', he's feeling great. And he comes at me, he loop chokes me 2 seconds into the roll. It's going to happen. So I've been choked out, or not, just gonna be submitted by plenty of my lower belts and my students and everything else. It's just normal.
Yeah. Shit, I was playing around with Rob the other day, one of our 4-stripe blue belts, and he caught me.
Five-stripe
Five-stripe blue belt. sandbagging bastard. But he caught me in a Peruvian necktie. I was just playing around with him. I was
He
like,
hits
man.
that, man. He hits
got
that.
me.
When we first rolled, he hit me in that. First time we rolled, I was like, all right. Boom, hit me. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah. So 11-10. I think that's it, guys.
Yeah.
So
Time for some meatloaf.
Chewy, everybody knows who you are. Where you're at Jiu-Jitsu.
You guys are watching
Instagram.
Jiu-Jitsu, so you know what's up.
Uh,
I've got some cool. I'll just throw this in there. I've got some cool stuff coming up. We've got some new gis because some of you guys didn't get the gray ones, so we got some cool ones coming up. I've also got a new little project I'm working on that'll be coming up in the near future. That's pretty dope. So, yeah.
Chad.
Also, I just started my YouTube channel, and then we got I got a project launching next
Nobody
week.
can tell anything.
Can't tell you anything yet, but
So-
Rich Brian says the young guy in the gray shirt sounds like Sling Blade. He says you're
Pretty
cool,
much.
but you want some French fry
Um,
taters.
somebody told
podcast-
me I sound like a country singer.
You kind of do sound
came out
country,
with
yeah.
it.
So the podcast will be out on iTunes, the Jiu-Jitsu Therapist podcast. Also,
Yeah. So guys, real quick, some of you guys. So I'm just gonna share this out there, and because he wouldn't do it, go check out his podcast and check out his YouTube channel. Eugene is my he's my go-to guy. Anytime I've jacked myself up, Eugene's my go-to guy. Like I come in there, I'm like, Eugene, my shoulder's messed up. Like, Eugene, my knee's messed up. Eugene, this is hurt. And so Eugene's like, he does his little thing, and then he says, here's what you need to do for this. And whenever I do what he says, man, I always get benefit out of it. Like, some of the things that he had me doing after my knee surgery to get me back a few years ago, I still do on a weekly basis because it keeps my legs strong and keeps me from being injured over and over again. Now, on his YouTube channel, guaranteed you're not going to see a bunch of really cool inverted sweeps, but you are. But what you do find is a lot of really good bread and butter stuff as far as stretches and prehab stuff that you could use. And guys, I promise you, if you haven't learned it yet, it would be better to learn it now. But if you haven't learned it yet, it's really beneficial to do some sort of stretching, some sort of rehab stuff in your training weekly basis. The yin to your yang, right? As far as your training goes, so this way you can stay training longer, more consistently, and without injury. So
If it
he's
wasn't
awesome
for
at this. So
Eugene.
check his stuff out.
If it wasn't
Thank
for
you for
Eugene,
coming.
I'd be done
People
for.
are asking his channel and the podcast name.
Here.
So.
I will put it in.
The podcast is the Jiu-Jitsu Therapist podcasts on iTunes, and then the channel is the Jiu-Jitsu Therapist. It's on YouTube and jiu-jitsutherapist.com. Don't do the different words. Pronounce it properly. Yeah, guys, just anything for injury prevention, for jiu-jitsu, anything. I mean, like I said, send me some questions. I'll help out in any way I can. So, but I get a lot of
I put a link in there for you guys.
thank you. Thank you, guys. I appreciate the comments. And Chewy, as always, thank you for taking the time. Chad, thank you for taking the time.
No liabilities.
Thank you guys for watching
And
tonight.
thank you to Maddie. She's awesome. Runs all her stuff behind the scenes. She is the best. Couldn't do it without her. Thank you. Chad, hashtag no liabilities. You did it. That's right. Shouting out.